Chapter 1. The otaku Yu Yang saw a figure flying across the sky. He raised his head and shouted, "Wifey, quickly come out and look at God!" The figure flying on the sword swayed, as if he was about to fall. Yu Yang shouted again, "Bro, don't fly too fast, your pants are not zipped properly." The person above fell head first. Yu Yang didn't even look at the person's condition and ran to pick up the shining golden flying sword. At the same time, he shouted, "Master, the flying sword is a treasure. If you throw it around, it will pollute the environment. What if it hits a child? Even if it doesn't, it won't be good if it hits any flowers or plant. Your disciple will take care of it for you." What is this? A universal pouch? How can a wise and mighty immortal like Master hang a tattered pouch on your waist? Your disciple will take care of it for you. The old Taoist priest who fell from the sky almost vomited blood. He had lived for thousands of years, but this was the first time he met such a shameless disciple who randomly recognized others as his master. "Master, your disciple is already of marriageable age, but I don't have a partner yet. I wonder if you have a granddaughter? It doesn't matter if it's a big sister or a lowly, I'm not too picky." Yu Yang laughed lewdly. Finally, the enraged old Taoist priest flew up and kicked him in the butt. He roared, "Scram, scram you bastard!" Just like that, Yu Yang was transported to another world. Ah, his eyes are moving. He's awake, he's awake. Brother Shao San is awake. Before Yu Yang could open his eyes, he heard a child's voice that sounded like a silver bell ring in his ears. "Schwanger, don't be rude to your brother." Following that, he heard a gentle, virtuous, motherly voice reprimanding him dotingly. When Yu Yang opened his eyes, he found that the old Taoist priest had disappeared. What appeared in front of him was a lively and cute little girl. This little girl was about 6 or 7 years old. She was a pink and tender little lowly. She wore a light green short robe, revealing her 2 lotus-root white arms. Both sides of her hair were tied up in tiny braids with red threads, and they hung down. On her white and smooth little wrist, there was a silver ring with 3 silver bells the size of fingertips hanging from it. The little girl mischievously stretched out her hand, wanting to pinch Yu Yang's nose. She stretched out her small hand, which was as soft as a white orchid, and the tinkling of bells rang out, setting off her clear and melodious laughter. Yu Yang was curious. Could this little girl be the precious granddaughter of the old Taoist? A top-grade lowly. Just as he was about to make a move to tease her, he suddenly saw a pair of white arms stretched out from behind and gently caught the naughty little lass. He angrily slapped her chubby little hands away as a punishment for being naughty, and then he dotingly pulled her into his embrace. The little girl was not afraid at all and even thought it was fun. She giggled nonstop, and at the same time, she cutely made funny faces at Yu Yang, looking very proud. Yu Yang looked over and took a closer look. When he saw the woman behind the little girl, he sighed in his heart. Oh my God, a top-grade wife. Sitting in front of Yu Yang was a beautiful woman around 30 years old. She had delicate features, and her face was as bright as the moon. She had a pair of watery eyes that were as clear as a spring, and the corners of her lips were slightly arched. There was a hint of happiness in her smile, and her demure demeanor carried a hint of gentleness. Her jet-black hair was combed from the back, and there was only a light purple and black wooden cloud-patterned phoenix hairpin in it. It was simple and elegant, but it didn't lose its elegance. As a whole, her face looked even more clean and her spirit was hidden within. Coupled with her sky-blue dress with a hint of white, as well as her jade-like arms that were hugging the little girl, Yu Yang's heart was filled with emotion. If anyone could marry this kind of woman, what else could he ask for? When the beautiful woman saw that Yu Yang had woken up, she stopped smiling, and her jade-like face revealed a pained and self-reproachful expression. "San-er, don't mess around like this in the future. Who gave you the guts to jump into the river? Luckily, I was able to save you in time, or else, tell me, how would I have the face to answer to my sister?" That year, my sister entrusted you to me to take care of you, so fourth mother is your mother. Sanner, in all these years, fourth mother has never been willing to hit you. This time, you made a mistake, and if I don't let you remember today's lesson, fourth mother will have let down my sister. Next month, when your fourth uncle comes back, you can go and ask him for a beating. The little girl wrinkled her cute nose and said, Go and ask for a beating, Pa, I'll beat your butt until it blossoms. When Yu Yang heard this, he sweated profusely. When did I jump into the river? Where is this? Where did the old Taoist priest kick me to? Did she recognize the wrong person? A strange thought flashed through his mind. Could it be that there was a person who looked like him who fell into the river at the same time as him, and then this beautiful woman fished him out, while that unlucky person was fed to the fishes and prawns? When he thought of this, his forehead immediately dripped with sweat. This misunderstanding was really big. Yu Yang was afraid that he would expose himself if he opened his mouth, so he didn't dare to say that it was a misunderstanding. He didn't even dare to ask where this place was. If the other party found out that he wasn't her precious Sanner, she might immediately turn against him and throw him back into the river. That would be the end of him. When the beautiful woman saw Yu Yang's nervous face with beads of sweat on his forehead and a red face, as if he was ashamed, she immediately became happy. She thought that this child had repented, and her tone softened. Sanner, it's good that you know your mistake. Young people aren't afraid of making mistakes, but they are afraid of not changing. Xin Yang has watched you grow up, and I know that you are not the kind of person who doesn't know what is important. It's just that the matter of Miss Shui breaking off the engagement had caused you to be so anxious and angry that you did such a stupid thing. Sanner, although Miss Shui is good, her heart is no longer with you. Breaking off the engagement is fine. If a husband and wife can't share weal and woe together, then it's better not to get married. Our Yu clan is one of the 4 great clans. There are so many girls in the world, how could we not find a good girl? Yes. Yu Yang decided to pretend to be the unlucky person who drowned in the river. He would try to find an opportunity to slip away. Sanner, it's good that you think like this. Xin Yang can be at ease now. The beautiful woman originally wanted to persuade him, but she didn't think that this child would think it through after dying once. She felt that his ancestors really had a spirit. After comforting him a few more times, the beautiful woman told Yu Yang to rest well. She let go of the little girl and stood up, as if preparing to leave the room. Yu Yang secretly thought that it was a close shave. Luckily he managed to hide it from her. Now he had to quickly think of a way to slip away. Otherwise, if the person who drowned didn't drown and came back, then everything would be exposed. The beautiful woman held the little girl's hand and walked to the door. Suddenly, she turned her head and asked, Sanner, give me a definite answer. Will you really not do stupid things again? You are soft on the outside but hard on the inside. I know that you are easygoing on the outside but stubborn on the inside. Don't wait for me to leave and think about stupid things again. Will you really not do stupid things again? No, I won't. Yu Yang shook his head like a rattle drum. How could he commit suicide? He still had to find the old Taoist priest for revenge. When the beautiful woman saw the serious expression on Yu Yang's face, she immediately felt a bit more comforted. Fourth mother believes in you. Sanner, don't do stupid things again. Your parents are no longer here, your fourth uncle has no children, and I am not blessed. Bing Er's life is hard, and Shuang Er is still young. Your father and your fourth uncle's family can only rely on you now. You must remember this. Yu Yang sweated profusely. He thought to himself, I can't rely on you. I'm not your Sanner. Your Sanner has probably been fed to the fishes and prawns long ago. I'm afraid the problem of the family line will be difficult. Of course, he didn't dare to say it out loud. He could only nod his head in agreement. The little girl seemed to feel that the room was boring. She let go of the beautiful woman's hand and jumped out of the door, running far away. The beautiful woman called out twice, but seeing that the little girl didn't listen, she decided to chase after her. Before she left the room, she said to Yu Yang worriedly, "Sanner, don't be discouraged. Your fourth uncle's talent is slow. He only managed to contract a grimoire in the last month, before he turned 20. Don't you still have 3 months? After so many years, you have gritted your teeth and endured it. It's not the end yet. Are you going to give up now? There is no one in the Yu clan who can't contract a grimoire. I believe that fourth mother, you are no exception. I think it's possible that your father and mother worked together to seal this grimoire. They didn't want you to contract a grimoire too early. They didn't want you to be arrogant and complacent, so they used this chance to train your will. Otherwise, with the talent you showed when you were young, why couldn't you contract a grimoire? Believe in fourth mother, you have inherited the blood of your father and mother. You will definitely be the most outstanding person. You will definitely succeed. Don't be discouraged, don't be impatient. Contract a grimoire? What is a grimoire? Maybe that pitiful guy's blood was very good, but he wasn't him. He was just a normal otaku. If he had to say that he was good at something, it would be that he was especially good at playing games, especially those Japanese games. Yu Yang didn't know what grimoire he wanted to contract, but after hearing the beautiful woman's words, he could guess a bit. He guessed that the reason why that pitiful guy, who looked like him, jumped into the river to commit suicide was because his heart had given up all hope. First of all, the pitiful guy didn't have any parent. Then, he couldn't even contract a grimoire successfully. His engagement was even broken off. He felt that his life was a tragedy, so he jumped into the river to commit suicide. What was even more tragic was that when he jumped into the river to commit suicide, the one who was fished out was not him, but Yu Yang, who looked like him. In the end, Yu Yang brought him back to this room. As for that pitiful guy, who had gone through 18 lifetimes of bad luck, he was probably on a free trip to the bottom of the sea. The only thing that Yu Yang couldn't understand was why he fell into the river. Could it be that he was kicked into the river by the old Taoist priest? Why did he kick him into the river? Could it be that the old Taoist priest wanted him to replace the pitiful guy and be reborn? When Yu Yang thought of this, his forehead immediately broke out in cold sweat. This joke was too big, Sanner. You should rest well first. Fourth mother thinks that even if you can't contract a grimoire, you are still my Sanner. I will treat you like my own son. Even if I have to use up all my family's assets, I will think of a way to help you have a bright future. Your fourth uncle doesn't like to talk, but he also thinks the same way. Sanner, you should rest well. Maybe one day you will be enlightened and successfully contract a grimoire. The beautiful woman urged Yu Yang to rest well, then turned around and left. When Yu Yang heard what she said, he was moved. Although she didn't care about him, she was really good to that pitiful guy. He suddenly felt that the pitiful guy was an idiot to jump into the river to commit suicide. How many stepmothers could there be in this world? He didn't cherish that pitiful guy, and instead jumped into the river to commit suicide because of a bored fiancé. He deserved to be drowned. Yu Yang's heart felt unbalanced. He wanted someone to care for him, but he didn't have one. He watched the beautiful woman leave and sighed in his heart. If only he was that Sanner. What a good fourth mother. It was a pity that he wasn't the pitiful guy. After lying on the bed, his gaze inadvertently swept across the study table. He was immediately attracted by a huge book made of metal. This book seemed to be made of bronze. It had an ancient luster and was strangely thick. It was 2 to 3 times bigger than a normal book, and its whole body was covered with mysterious ancient runes. When Yu Yang saw it, he had a strange feeling that he was being attracted by it. It was as if there was something soundless calling out to him. That feeling was as if he had just installed a long-awaited game, and couldn't wait to click on it with his mouse. Yu Yang subconsciously stretched out his hand, wanting to touch this strange metal book. Unexpectedly, when his finger touched it, the book shone with a dazzling golden light. The whole room was filled with the golden light, and it was plated with a golden color. Yu Yang couldn't help but use his other hand to block the light. He almost couldn't open his eyes. In an instant, it was as if there was an uncountable amount of knowledge crazily surging into his brain. Moreover, it was a kind of unreasonable forceful stuffing. Before Yu Yang could react, he discovered that his brain was already filled with uncountable amounts of knowledge. And from the other side of the glowing bronze book, there was still more knowledge flowing in. It was as if he understood countless things in an instant, but he didn't seem to understand. He couldn't grasp the central point, and was unable to confirm what he had truly understood. Right now, Yu Yang's entire being was in a state where he seemed to understand yet not understand yet not understand, and understand yet not understand. In his body, because of this change, something seemed to have been awakened. There was a mysterious energy that was sleeping in his body, as if it had a life of its own. It even let out a heavenly cry, causing Yu Yang's soul to tremble. His ears couldn't hear it, but Yu Yang could clearly hear it in his heart. There was indeed a mysterious energy calling out to him in his body, but he couldn't understand what it meant at all. He could barely feel that the mysterious energy was calling out to him. It was incomparably wonderful. It was even more beautiful and captivating than the heavenly songs he had heard before. That kind of calling was so wonderful that it could make one's soul tremble. It was like hearing his mother call him when he was sick when he was young. Thousands of words couldn't describe it. At the same time, in the world of his consciousness, Yu Yang discovered that there was a shining flying sword that was automatically rotating. It was so mysterious that it was hard to describe. The flying sword seemed to be held by the hands of a fairy from the 9 heavens. She seemed to be singing and dancing, freely roaming in the void. What was going on? The golden light that filled the room slowly subsided under the shock of Yu Yang's mind. In the end, it turned into a dot of light that flickered between Yu Yang's finger and the metal book. After the mysterious energy called out, it returned to silence. The shining flying sword also gradually disappeared without a trace. Yu Yang's mind withdrew from his consciousness and returned to reality. He was surprised to find that his finger was shining. Yu Yang was stunned. He retracted his finger and the golden light disappeared. That incomparably heavy bronze book actually magically floated in the air and automatically floated in front of him. Now, the feeling it gave Yu Yang was no longer that of a heavy metal book, but more like a part of his body that was connected to his blood vessels. It was as if it was an extension of his arm. At the door stood a beautiful woman with tears streaming down her face. She leaned against the door and used her hands to support her trembling body. At this moment, her body was so weak that she almost fell to the ground. Even though she saw everything in front of her, her face was still filled with disbelief and joy. Her tears flowed down like a spring, dripping onto her clothes. "San'er, you successfully contracted a summoning grimoire? Is this real? Is Fourth Mother dreaming? The spirits of the ancestors, this was really the blessing of the ancestors. Sister, San'er contracted a grimoire, did you see it from the sky? I've said it before, San'er is not trash, he's not. Thank you clan ancestors for your blessing. Granddaughter-in-law will thank you on behalf of San'er. Thank you for not abandoning my San'er." The beautiful woman knelt on the ground, unable to suppress her excitement. She kowtowed heavily, thanking the ancestors for their kindness. Her clean forehead immediately turned red from the kowtowing and was even stained with the black mud on the ground. However, the beautiful woman did not feel any pain and continued to kowtow in ecstasy. Yu Yang hurriedly jumped up like a tiger and rushed forward to help this Fourth Mother up. Although he was an impostor, the beautiful woman was still a little touched by his actions. At the door, the little girl had returned with a big red pinwheel in her hand. She tilted her head and asked, "Mother, why are you crying?" Chapter 2. The little girl's question immediately brought the beautiful woman back to her senses. She hurriedly wiped her tears, smearing her entire face. Yu Yang looked at her face that was covered in mud and tears. His eyes felt a little hot. He took a deep breath, suppressed his excitement, and reached out to help her wipe her tears. The beautiful woman did not allow him to wipe her tears. She blocked Yu Yang's hand and hurriedly left. Yu Yang looked at her disappearing figure and stood there for a long time. "Brother Xiao-san, why is mommy crying too?" the little girl asked curiously, but she did not pursue this question. Instead, she raised the big windmill in her hands high up. "Look, does my windmill look good? I bought this on the street. There are also delicious candied haws on the street, but mommy didn't buy it. Brother Xiao-san, I want to ride a wildebeest. A tall windmill can spin faster." Yu Yang sweated profusely. Wasn't this little girl too mischievous? Ride a wildebeest? Could it be that the unlucky guy who jumped into the river usually coaxed her like this? He must not let this little thing see through him. It was impossible for him to ride a wildebeest on her neck. What if she fell? However, he did not reject the little loli's request. He just had to transform into Uncle Strange Uncle. Yu Yang carried the little girl up and quickly lifted her up into the air and put her down again. She laughed happily. After lifting her up 4 to 5 times, the little girl had already collapsed into Yu Yang's embrace. Ha, if Uncle Strange Uncle wanted to deal with a little loli, it would be easy. Outside the door, the beautiful woman who had hurriedly washed away her tears came back. Yu Yang hurriedly put the little girl down. However, the little girl did not comply and wanted to be hugged by him. The beautiful woman bent down and hugged the little thing, her face full of joy as she said, "Sanner, quick, quick, let forth mother see what your inherent skill and guardian beast are. Sanner, I've said it before, you will definitely succeed. Sigh, this is great, after waiting bitterly for so many years, you have finally succeeded. Sanner, you have finally made it. Quickly open your summoning grimoire and let forth mother see. Let me be happy too." Inherent skill? With a guardian beast? As soon as Yu Yang had this question, knowledge surged into his mind like a flash of inspiration. First of all, he discovered a problem, and that was that he had crossed over. This was no longer Earth, but another world. On this land called the Soaring Dragon Continent, there were countless rankers living there. Among them, the 3 kingdoms' royal families, the 4 great clans and the 4 great sects were the leaders. Apart from the royal families of the 3 great nations, there were also the Feng, Shui, Yu and Yen clans, which had countless experts. In this world, there were 4 more mysterious sections. The 4 great sects gathered many rankers in the Soaring Dragon Continent who wholeheartedly pursued the way of heaven. They rarely interfered with worldly affairs, but every 3 years, they would send their disciples out to guide the most outstanding juniors into the 4 great sects to train. Among all the rankers, other than the descendants of the royal family and the 4 great clans, only a very small number of geniuses were able to contract a very special treasure, the summoning grimoire. The advantage of a summoning grimoire lay in the fact that any one of its possessors could grow to become a peak ranker. If not, then the chances of becoming a pinnacle powerhouse were minuscule. Yu Yang discovered that this Soaring Dragon Continent was almost purely a summoner's world. There was no magic or doqi, only summoning. Summoning techniques were all-encompassing in this world. There were elemental summoning techniques that were similar to magic, strengthening summoning techniques that were similar to doqi, and even beast summoning techniques that were similar to summoning technique. In short, summoning techniques in this world were as common as studying in China. There were also academies that specialized in teaching summoning techniques everywhere. Although almost everyone knew summoning techniques, not everyone could have a summoning grimoire. On the contrary, it could be said that the possessors were extremely rare. For example, the possessors of a summoning grimoire were like the top students among the billions of students who could enter Harvard and Cambridge. Everyone yearned to have a summoning grimoire, but that was only the privilege of a small number of geniuses. After successfully contracting a summoning grimoire, Every possessor of the summoning grimoire would automatically awaken an inherent skill in their body. At the same time, they would also obtain a guardian beast that was most suitable for the possessor to level up. Ah, okay, but I don't know what my inherent skill is. Yu Yang was also very curious because of the information that appeared in his mind. What kind of inherent skill did the summoning grimoire awaken? He prayed in his heart that it was not an inherent skill related to cooking instant noodles, or an inherent skill related to otakus. Otherwise, if the beautiful woman saw it, he would be finished. Yu Yang opened the summoning grimoire's homepage, and found his own portrait at the top. He looked quite handsome and cool. Below, his level was written, Level 1 Apprentice, Beginner. Behind this, Apprentice, there was also a very simple explanation of the level evaluation. Apprentice. You are the weakest existence in the world, but fortunately, as a possessor of a summoning grimoire, you still have the hope of becoming strong. Yu Yang immediately rolled his eyes when he saw this. The weakest was an ant. No matter how weak he was still stronger than an ant. It was too uncomfortable to hurt someone's self-esteem like this. Skipping this level evaluation, the next half page was about everyone's inherent skill. According to the knowledge that the summoning grimoire had passed to Yu Yang, everyone had one type of inherent skill. Other than a few people who had the same inherent skill, most people's inherent skills were completely different. Of course, this could be related to the fact that not many people had summoning grimoires. Looking at his own inherent skill, Yu Yang was dumbfounded. His inherent skill was not cooking instant noodles, nor was it downloading porn or playing arrow games. It was an inherent skill that made Yu Yang sweat profusely. Accurately speaking, this was a very special, very rare, very mysterious, and very enviable Gemini star inherent skill. Originally, everyone's innate skill would show a related innate skill pattern under their profile picture. However, Yu Yang's innate skill pattern was a combination of two patterns. On the left, there was a mysterious back view, but one could vaguely recognize that it was Yu Yang's back view. On the right, there was a front view hiding in the darkness. If it wasn't for the back view, it would be even harder to recognize that it was Yu Yang. His face couldn't be seen clearly. Other than a pair of glistening wolf-like eyes, he couldn't recognize any other specific facial features. In the whole picture, most of it was dark and blurry. Other than the two star-like eyes, there was no other light. What made Yu Yang sweat profusely and go crazy was precisely this Gemini star inherent skill evaluation. Counterfeit inherent skill. You are as sly as a fox, as sinister as a poisonous snake, and as good as a chameleon at disguising yourself. Your entire image is filled with illusions, and no one can see through your heart. Your inherent skill will strengthen as your level increases. Currently, your inherent skill is level 1. Divine Eyes inherent skill. You have eyes like an eagle. You have prophetic senses. You are like the Grim Reaper who can see through a living creature's soul. You have divine eyes that can see through everything in the world. You will never be confused by any illusions or illusions. Your inherent skill will strengthen as your level increases. Currently, your inherent skill is level 1. Damn! Yu Yang almost fell to the ground. He thought to himself, was he really that sly and sinister? Although people would try to use their eyes to see through a thin film when watching cavalry porn, this was a trick that every wolf knew. When it came to eyesight, Yu Yang felt that he wasn't that good at it. This was because when the actresses put on their clothes, other than the Pirate King's sister Wu, Sora Aoi, Yoshizawa and the rest of the New World's 4 kings, he couldn't recognize any of them. Could this even be considered divine eyes? As for disguising, that was even more out of the question. He didn't know how to disguise himself at all. At most, he could only lie to deceive people. Moreover, who hadn't lied before? Even if it was a child, if his parents asked him who had watched an erotic movie before, who would be so stupid as to admit it? This kind of Gemini star inherent skill, Yu Yang was so embarrassed that he wanted to squat at the corner of the wall and draw circles. Sanner, it doesn't matter even if you don't have the inherent skill. As long as you work hard, Fourth Mother believes that you will definitely become a strong warrior like your father. The beautiful woman's eyes were red as she consoled Yu Yang with a choked voice. Ah! Yu Yang was dumbfounded. He was obviously a Gemini star inherent skill. Why did she say that he didn't have it? Could it be that she couldn't see his inherent skill? Could it be that the counterfeit inherent skill was a passive skill? It would be effective even if he didn't use it? It can't be. Yu Yang jumped up and pointed at the pattern on the grimoire. He nervously swallowed his saliva, calmed his heartbeat and asked, You can't see this pattern? You really can't see the words on it? Chapter 3. When the beautiful woman heard Yu Yang's question, she was stunned. From her point of view, other than the portrait on the top of the grimoire, the bottom part was blank. There were no pictures or words at all, and Sanner's expression did not look like he was lying to her. Could it be that he really had an inherent skill? An inherent skill that she could not see? Sanner, don't lie to me. Really have an inherent skill? I can't see it. What kind of inherent skill is that? The beautiful woman felt that her heart was about to jump out of her throat as she nervously grabbed onto Yu Yang's hands. It's a concealment. My inherent skill is concealment. Yu Yang scratched his head and lied. He realized that he was really as cunning as a fox. It's good that you have an inherent skill. You scared me to death. The beautiful woman was relieved. She patted her chest with her lily-white hands, closed her eyes and let out a long sigh of relief. Every grimoire owner in the world would awaken an inherent skill. If Sanner did not have it, he would definitely be slandered as trash. No matter what the inherent skill was, it was fine as long as he had it. The strongest rankers had already proven that there were no trash inherent skills in this world, only trash people. Sanner's invisible concealment inherent skill might be a very good inherent skill. The beautiful woman happily reached out and caressed Yu Yang's head. Sanner, I'm really happy for you. With this concealment inherent skill, you will definitely have great achievements in the future. When the little girl saw her mother stretching out her hand to stroke Yu Yang's head, she also stretched out her white and tender little hands and moved closer to grab his hair. Seeing that she was messing around, the beautiful woman hurriedly put her down. The beautiful woman suppressed the excitement in her heart and gestured to Yu Yang to flip the grimoire. Flip to the next page. Sanner, look at your guardian beast. Schwanger, don't move, let brother flip the page. Be good, just stand here and look. This is fog? It's a vast expanse of white. Is your guardian beast an elemental fog? That's right, although elemental fog grows slowly, it is very powerful. In the early stages, it might be weaker than strengthening type and beast type fog, but in the later stages it would not be weaker, it might even be stronger. As long as it is not a special type, it's fine. AI Sanner, your guardian beast is not bad. The beautiful woman happily clapped her hands and beamed with joy. Yu Yang was dumbfounded, because what he saw wasn't a white fog at all, but a black shadow. It was a shadow that looked exactly like him. Under the shadow there was a very simple line of words. It was an introduction to the guardian beast's abilities. Phantom, special type, level 1. You can control your shadows. Each shadow has half of your abilities. Shadows can be stacked to strengthen the main body. Yu Yang gently placed his hand on the phantom pattern, and a golden light flickered between his fingers. So that's how it is. At the same time, knowledge about summoning beasts flashed through his mind. As long as the warriors of the Soaring Dragon continent trained hard, even a normal warrior could learn 1 or 2 summoning skills and contract beasts. However, because they did not have a summoning grimoire, the number of beasts they could summon was greatly limited. Normal warriors could only contract with 1 beast. A small number of outstanding warriors could contract with 2 beasts. There was no limit to the number of contracts that a ranker who possessed a summoning grimoire could contract. Every page of the grimoire could be used to contract a summoned beast until there were no more blank pages. However, the biggest advantage of the summoning grimoire was not that there was no limit to the number of contracts, but that each holder could obtain a unique guardian beast. This kind of guardian beast was different from normal beast. It would never truly die, and would never betray its master. The guardian beast would grow with its master without any additional conditions. As long as its master's ability increased, or the summoning grimoire leveled up, its ability would also increase. Yu Yang wanted to summon a shadow to see what was going on. However, he was surprised that he could not summon it. The knowledge in his mind showed that he did not have enough spiritual energy to summon a shadow. Furthermore, Yu Yang could faintly feel that summoning this kind of shadow actually required 10 times the amount of spiritual energy compared to other summoned beasts. What's wrong? The beautiful woman saw that Yu Yang's expression was strange and asked with concern, "What happened?" "It's nothing, I don't have enough spiritual energy to summon a guardian beast." Yu Yang shook his head and a thought flashed through his mind. It was better to keep this shadow that could increase his strength a secret. Even if he could summon it in the future, he would not easily show it in front of others. It should be his secret weapon. San'er, don't worry, element-type beasts require a lot of spiritual energy. It's normal if you can't summon it in the beginning. A guardian beast is definitely the most helpful beast in your growth, that's for sure. The beautiful woman quickly comforted him. Yes, I will definitely train hard and try to summon it as soon as possible. Yu Yang said this on the surface, but he had a different thought in his heart. Through the knowledge transmitted to him by the summoning grimoire, he knew the standard for summoning spiritual energy. If it was a normal element-type beast, Yu Yang felt that he could definitely summon it. It was just that his phantom shadow's spiritual energy requirement was more than 10 times that of other beasts. It was really too high. It was only level 1 now. If it leveled up, it would probably require more spiritual energy. However, this was not a bad thing, because the more spiritual energy required, the stronger the summoned beast would be. For example, Yu Yang's guardian beast phantom shadow required more than 10 times the spiritual energy. Compared to other beasts, it was like a sniper rifle and a bow. Although both of them were long-range weapons, their power was completely different. Through the knowledge that flashed through his mind, Yu Yang also discovered that the biggest difference between his phantom shadow and other beasts was not its strength. It was the time. A normal warrior's beast would disappear after an hour every time they summoned it. An elite warrior could summon it for 2 to 3 hours. There were a few super geniuses who could summon it for 5 hours, but these people were extremely rare. Yu Yang stretched out his hand and placed it on the image of the shadow. Although he could not summon it, he could still sense the shadow's ability, and it resonated with his heart. After carefully sensing it, he was shocked to discover that once this shadow was summoned, it could exist for up to 10 days. Damn! Yu Yang sweated in his heart. This secret must not be known by others, otherwise he would be captured and dissected like a monster. Brother Shao-san, what is damn? The little girl blinked her big curious eyes and asked innocently and cutely. Ah, it's an extremely powerful special skill that summons the grass mud horse. It's extremely powerful. When used, it can increase the enemy's anger by 100, and there's even a chance to cause the enemy to go crazy, beat their chest, stomp their feet, pull their hair, jump anxiously, hit their head on the wall and so on. This skill increases the damage to their anus, but it's completely ineffective against shameless people with high mental defense or people with pure hearts. You know, the grass mud horse, this kind of divine beast usually lives in the Mala Desert. It usually likes to bask in the sun and eat grass, especially by the side of a trough. How can you say that the grass mud horse is extremely powerful? It's quite powerful. Other than the invincible divine beast like the celestial river crab, no one is its opponent. Although the Jacques lizard and the Jacques butterfly are all divine beasts, they are not on the same level as it. Alright, let's stop talking about divine beasts here. We can't go into too much detail about this question. Yu Yang really didn't know how to deal with the studious little lowly. At first, the beautiful woman thought that this brat was too excited and accidentally cursed. But after seeing him being so serious and speaking so logically, she really thought that there was such a strange name for a divine beast in this world. Of course, she also knew that divine beasts were not that easy to summon. Not to mention a level 1 apprentice, even the strongest human warriors didn't have a divine beast. Therefore, it's not good to bite off more than you can chew. She hurriedly advised Yu Yang, San these divine beasts are all powerful creatures. It's impossible for them to sign a contract with a weak warrior. Don't think about it now. Hurry up and train your summoning skills. Try to increase your summoning aura as much as possible. I'm afraid it's too late this year. After the new year, your fourth uncle and I will send you to school. You must work hard, and you will definitely have a bright future. Yes. Yu Yang secretly wiped away his cold sweat. Fortunately, she didn't hear his words, otherwise he would have given himself a slap. After sending off the beautiful woman who was in a good mood and the reluctant little girl, Yu Yang breathed a sigh of relief. In the end, he managed to fool her. She didn't recognize him as an impostor. However, what should he do next? Chapter 4. Yu Yang lay on the bed for 2 minutes before jumping up. He could still pretend to be ignorant now, but in the future, if he met that fourth uncle or any of his relatives and friends, he would definitely be exposed. Yu Yang quickly rummaged through the pitiful guy's belongings to see if he could find anything that could help him understand his identity. It would be best if he could find something like a diary. After rummaging for a long time, the desk, bookshelf and boxes were all turned upside down. There was a diary, but it was not of much help. The pitiful guy's diary was mainly about his experiences with summoning techniques, as well as his understanding of the Yu clan's spear technique. Only now did Yu Yang realize that the pitiful guy was actually quite hard-working. Other than being unable to contract a grimoire, the Yu clan's spear technique was quite good. However, from the diary, the pitiful guy did not reveal this to outsiders, as he was preparing to contract a grimoire in the future. It was also because of his silent closed-door cultivation that the outside world thought of him as a good-for-nothing. The pitiful guy mentioned that the Yu clan's spear technique was passed down in the Yu clan. If it was used with a strengthening-type beast, it would be extremely powerful. He had written more than once in his diary that if it was not for the fact that a Yu clan's ancestor, who was killed by a scoundrel 1,000 years ago, had most of the spear technique manuals been lost, the Yu clan would not only be ranked 3rd among the 4 great clans, but would have become the strongest clan among the 4 great clans. Even so, the Yu clan's spear technique was still famous in the world. Although there were no more peak warriors, there were still many strong warriors. For example, the pitiful guy's father was the most outstanding warrior in the Yu clan in 100 years. It was a pity that he died young, causing the rise of the Yu clan to be severely affected. Spear technique. Yu Yang looked at it and felt a headache coming on. Although he was an otaku and had never trained in martial arts, he still knew a lot about martial arts. There was a saying in the martial arts circle: a month's stick, a year's knife, a lifetime's spear, and a treasured sword. In terms of mastery of weapons, the spear was the most difficult to master. If one did not put in a lot of hard work and practice, it would be very difficult to have any achievement. The number of spear techniques was also far greater than that of ordinary weapons. The spear techniques of various sects also had many different profoundness. It could be said that even if one spent a lifetime studying it, it would not be enough. If what he found was not a spear technique, but a blade, a sword, or a staff technique, Yu Yang might even try to learn it. But this was a spear technique. The pitiful guy had practiced for more than 10 years, but he was still at the beginner level. Yu Yang decided to put aside this spear technique for now. What he needed now was not this kind of battle technique that he had to spend his entire life honing. Furthermore, the most important thing was that combat skills had completely declined in the Soaring Dragon continent. Normal combat skills, no matter how hard one trained, would not be able to surpass level 3. They had already fallen to the point of becoming mercenaries' livelihood skills. Some of the more famous combat skills, such as the Yu clan's spear arts, were also far from what they used to be. Furthermore, they still needed to be paired with strengthening-type summon beasts in order to display their true power. Combat techniques were similar to China's ancient martial arts, which could strengthen one's combat power. But summoning was like a handgun. No matter how good one's skills were, one shot would be enough to knock them down. Summoning did not require hard training. Its combat power was completely dependent on the summoned beast. For example, a person who had trained in combat skills for more than 10 years might not be able to train anything. In a battle, a warrior who had trained in combat skills for more than 10 years might be defeated by an apprentice who had just successfully contracted a contract. This was because a poisonous snake or a wind wolf could easily bite a warrior who had trained in combat skills to death. Under such circumstances, no one would be willing to spend a lot of time training in combat skills that were strenuous and unrewarding. Everyone would switch to training in summoning technique. Furthermore, the most outstanding combat skills had long been lost in the destructive war 3,000 years ago. The combat skills that could be passed down to this day were those that were only good for show, or those crude mercenary combat skills. For example, a combat skill like the Yu clan's spear arts, which had been lost for more than half of its time, was already one of the top 5 combat skills in the Soaring Dragon continent. From this, it could be seen how much combat skills had declined. Among the 3 great countries in the Soaring Dragon continent, the strongest was originally the Jun royal family, who focused on combat skills. Due to the decline of combat skills, the strongest Jun family had now become the weakest among the 3 great countries. There were even signs that some small countries would catch up to them. There are actually 2 big rivals in love? Yu Yang read the diary for a long time, but he still could not understand the situation of his family. However, he finally knew who the pitiful guy's archenemy was. One of them was his cousin, Yu Yen. He was the 4th in the family and was born a few days later than the pitiful guy. However, in just a few days, he missed his engagement with the Shui clan's miss, and the pitiful guy, who was engaged 3 days after his birth, beat him to it. This Yu Yen had always harbored hatred in his heart, and often mocked and ridiculed the pitiful guy. The other archenemy was the son of Blade Peak City's lord, Xie Qianren. This Xie Qianren was said to be a genius. He had displayed extraordinary talent when he was 6 years old, and contracted a grimoire when he was 10 years old. However, he had proposed marriage to the Shui clan many times, but was always mercilessly rejected by the Shui clan, one of the 4 great clans. Even when the Shui clan's miss broke off her engagement with the pitiful guy, she did not agree to his proposal. Hence, this Xie Qianren hated the pitiful guy to the core. After Yu Yang finished reading the diary, he felt that the pitiful guy's life was really pitiful. Not only did he fail to marry his wife, he had also provoked 2 big rivals in love. Beauties are only beauties when they have strength. If a man is not capable, then he is a disaster. Yu Yang did not think about the Shui clan's Mississippi. Even if she was as beautiful as a fairy, he would still ignore her. There were so many beauties in the world, why did he have to hang on to one tree? Could it be that he had to give up the whole forest for one tree? If he was really capable, which beauty wouldn't throw herself into his arms? Wasn't the Shui clan's miss breaking off the engagement because the pitiful guy looked like trash? The Shui clan's miss had already broken off the engagement, and the pitiful guy had already become Jiang He's food. However, there was still one thing that could be proven. That was, power, status, wealth and other things would directly determine a person's sexual life. Yu Yang's imagination ran wild, and in the end, he fell asleep in a daze. In a daze, he realized that he seemed to have entered the mysterious space of consciousness that appeared in his mind when he contracted the grimoire. Just as he was thinking about whether he could bring the flying sword out, the shining flying sword suddenly turned into a fairy in white whose face could not be seen clearly. She was wearing a heavenly robe, with a long white silk ribbon fluttering in the wind. Her exquisite feet were standing void, her white wrist lightly lifted, her jade-like fingers brushing against the orchid, and her slender waist like a willow. She then started to dance in front of Yu Yang. Seeing such a magical scene, Yu Yang's saliva almost turned into a waterfall. His jaw dropped and he couldn't close it for a long time. Heavenly Sword Goddess? The flying sword that he had stolen from the old Taoist priest was actually a heavenly sword goddess? The fairy in white started to dance lightly and gracefully. Her waist was graceful, and her jade-like feet were like lotuses. Her hands were moving in a myriad of different ways, and her movements were extremely beautiful and wonderful. There were rainbows that flowed around her body like a waterfall. There were also strange flowers that Yu Yang couldn't even recognize. They fluttered and fluttered like butterflies. Just as Yu Yang thought that this was a dance performance and was about to clap his hands, he suddenly saw an invisible sword chi shot out from the fairy's jade-like fingers. It cut through the heavens and the earth, and even void was pierced through like a piece of paper. At the end, the fairy in white's jade-like hands and jade-like feet had the power to overturn rivers and seas. It was as if she could lift the sky with one hand, and shake the earth with one stomp. Yu Yang was completely dumbfounded. Was this still martial arts? It was too terrifying. What was even more terrifying was yet to come. Suddenly, the fairy in white turned around, and in a flash, she had already appeared in front of the dumbstruck Yu Yang. The jade-like hands that could destroy the heavens and the earth condensed millions of sword chi into a single point. It pierced right in between Yu Yang's eyebrows. Wah! Yu Yang was so scared that his soul almost left his body. He cried out in fear and woke up from his stupor. It was only after a long time that he realized that it was just a dream. The fairy in white's finger didn't explode his head. However, when he touched the space between his eyebrows and recalled the fairy in his dream, he realized that there was a mysterious skill that was quietly hidden in the depths of his mind. When Yu Yang's mind came into contact with it, an unfamiliar name appeared in his mind: innate invisible sword chi. Chapter 5. Even if Yu Yang was an idiot, he would know that he had picked up a treasure. Just by looking at the word innate, he knew the value of this sword technique. It was also a battle technique. Before the Yu clan lost their secret manual, it was said that if one could reach its peak, they would be able to enter the innate realm. Now, forget about the fact that no one in the Yu clan had reached the innate realm. Even in the past 1,000 years, no one had reached the innate realm. Originally, the pitiful guy's father had the highest chance of breaking through the innate realm. However, he died early in battle, and the Yu clan lost their most talented warrior. Currently, it was said that other than the heavenly imperial guardians of the three kingdoms, only the Feng and Shui clans of the four great clans had innate rankers. Furthermore, according to rumors, the Feng and Shui clans only had one innate ranker. They were all old monsters that had lived for 400 to 500 years. As for the truth, no one knew to Yu Yang. The most important thing was that all the current innate rankers did not reach the innate realm by themselves. The reason why innate rankers could reach the innate realm was because they had holy beasts or mythical beasts. Strong holy beasts or mythical beasts could assimilate, strengthen and stimulate the potential in their bodies, and then slowly enter the innate realm. This process was very slow. Usually it would take hundreds of years. Some people even needed 200 to 300 years to completely cross the threshold of innate and become a real innate ranker. However, all the warriors in the soaring dragon continent needed hundreds of years to reach the peak of their physical body. Then, with the help of holy beasts, they had to break through the innate realm and re-enter the innate realm. Yu Yang realized that he had already started to train the innate, invisible sword chi that the heavenly sword goddess taught him in his dreams did not have any low-level training methods. The first step was to reach the innate realm. He could directly sense the heaven and earth, absorb the energy from the heaven and earth, and use the energy to cleanse his body and improve his soul. On one hand, he could use his inner energy to strengthen his body, allowing his body to be reborn. On the other hand, he could use his sword technique to break through to the next realm, using the sword to understand the way and become a saint. Old man, no, master, this heavenly sword goddess is your granddaughter, right? Please betroth her to me. Don't worry, I will treat her well and let her live a happy life. Master, if you don't say anything, I'll take it that you agree. I'll count to 3, okay, you agree. Thank you, master. The shameless guy from another world clasped his hands together and muttered to himself. If the old Taoist had heard this, he might have thrown this shameless fellow into the frying pan of hell to become a human meatball. Yu Yang originally wanted to sleep for a while more before meeting the sword spirit in his dream, but he was too excited to sleep. He forcefully suppressed the thumping of his heart and began to practice the first level of the innate, invisible sword chi. Originally, Yu Yang was not a hard-working person, but this concerned his future sexual happiness. He felt that he had to practice it well no matter what, and he had to make the best use of his time. He practiced during the day and even in his dreams at night. After the heavenly sword goddess had taught him the technique, she disappeared. Yu Yang guessed that she had hidden herself to observe her fiancé's performance. Hence, he was even more diligent in his dreams. He started to absorb spiritual energy very slowly. After a long time, he could not even gather a trace of spiritual energy. However, Yu Yang discovered that in that wonderful space of his dreams, his mind was even more in sync with the heavens and the earth. The speed at which he absorbed spiritual energy was also several times faster than the outside world. Therefore, there were many times when he was sleeping soundly and cultivating in his dreams. Unless he slept too much and had a headache, he would get up and move around before continuing to cultivate in his room. For the sake of his future sexual happiness, Yu Yang shut himself in his room all day, training hard. The beautiful woman came to visit him a few times. Seeing that he was sleeping soundly, she thought that he had drowned himself in the river. His body had become weak and his spirit was not good, so he needed to sleep. Occasionally, she would see Yu Yang meditating with his legs crossed. He was extremely serious, and she thought that he was working hard to improve his summoning skills. Her heart was filled with joy. Every day, she would bring the little girl to visit Yu Yang. One day, the beautiful woman even brought him a piece of good news. San'er, your fourth uncle heard that you have successfully contracted a grimoire and was very happy. He went to the main family castle to report the good news to Master. Maybe he will be back in a few days. With the 1,000 gold that we had saved up previously, we have successfully bought a Spirit Beast Awakening Knowledge Pill from the Floating Mist sect. If you take it, I believe that it will be very beneficial. You might even be able to break through to level 2 and become a beginner warrior. Spirit Beast Awakening Knowledge Pill? When Yu Yang heard this, the knowledge in his mind blossomed again, making him understand something. In many big clans, when some outstanding genius warriors were unable to contract a grimoire, they would seek help from the 4 great sects. Every year, the 4 great sects would sell a small amount of spirit pills, which were extremely expensive. After taking these spirit pills, those who were unable to contract a grimoire would have a much higher chance of successfully contracting a grimoire. Although it was not an absolute success rate, it was still close to 30%. As a result, countless people would naturally go crazy. However, the spirit pills sold by the four great sects were not a luxury that ordinary people could desire. Firstly, there were very few of them. Secondly, they were very expensive. Yu Yang was extremely shocked by the beautiful woman and her husband's behavior of using all their savings to buy a spirit beast awakening knowledge pill for the pitiful guy. According to the currency exchange rate, 1 gold was equivalent to 100 silver or 10,000 copper. 1,000 gold was equivalent to 10 million copper. In order to buy this spirit beast awakening knowledge pill, the beautiful woman had already used up all her asset. She had even pawned all her dowry ornaments. Now, Yu Yang saw that she was only wearing a wooden hairpin that she had made herself. From this, it could be seen that 1,000 gold was a huge number. If one did not come from a wealthy family, who would be able to buy such an expensive spirit pill? For her adopted son, the pitiful guy, the beautiful woman was actually able to support him to this extent. Give it to Schwanger Mimi, I have already contracted it successfully. Yu Yang could not help but feel touched. The beautiful woman was really too great. What are you saying? How old is Schwanger? How do you know that she won't be able to contract it in the future? Maybe that little girl will be able to contract it successfully next year. This spirit beast awakening knowledge pill is for you. Although you have successfully contracted it, it is still a little late. You can only catch up after taking this spirit pill. You won't disappoint me and your fourth uncle. Your parents are also hoping that you can become outstanding and bring glory to the Yu clan. How can you be so stubborn? Seeing that Yu Yang had rejected her, the beautiful woman immediately became unhappy. Her face darkened as she lectured him earnestly. San although your fourth uncle is a small official and we are also a well-to-do family, it is not easy to accumulate 1,000 gold. You must not waste your fourth uncle's and my efforts. Yes, I was wrong. Yu Yang hurriedly agreed. Although this spirit pill was not bought for him, he was still touched by the beautiful woman's intentions. I have already written a letter to ask Bing Er to take a leave of absence from school to teach you the basics of summoning. She will probably be home tomorrow. You should see if there is anything you need to prepare. Fourth Mother knows that you are hard-working, but you cannot overdo it. You must know that haste makes waste. Have a good rest tonight and don't meditate. The beautiful woman did not know that Yu Yang had been eating and sleeping well these past few days. Moreover, the innate invisible sword chi was cultivated using the innate sword arts, which allowed him to absorb spiritual chi from heaven and earth. The more Yu Yang trained, the better his body would become. It was impossible for him to be exhausted. In order to make the beautiful woman feel at ease, Yu Yang had no choice but to sleep early again. Maybe it was because he was moved by the beautiful woman's act of selling her family's fortune to buy pills, but his state of mind had changed. Yu Yang suddenly had an epiphany that he had never experienced before when he was cultivating in his dreams. The spiritual chi in his body turned into a thin stream. It surged up from his dantian and reached the lung channel of Hantain. It then flowed along his meridians from the cloud gate on his shoulder to Tianfu, Qi Zhe and Kong Zui on his arm to Lai Ke and Tai Yuan on his wrist. Finally, it flowed to Xiao Shang on his thumb. After surging back and forth a few times, a thin sword chi actually shot out from the tip of his thumb. Seeing such a surprising change, Yu Yang's spirit was greatly shaken and he woke up from his dream. In the real world, Yu Yang exerted quite a bit of effort to use it again. Until he saw the sword chi easily pierce through the bricks on the wall. Only then did Yu Yang completely believe that he had successfully broken through the first meridian of the innate invisible sword chi Hantain. Although the sword chi that broke out of his body was only 1 to 2 inches long, it was nothing compared to the sword chi that the heavenly sword goddess had casually brandished. However, it was enough to make Yu Yang's heart burst with ecstasy. He wished he could transform into a wolf and howl at the moon. Chapter 6. At noon the next day, The middle-aged maid who always left silently after putting down the food came in and said softly, "Third young master, Madam invites you out." Yu Yang followed her out of the hall and saw that the beautiful woman was hugging a girl in black and wiping her tears. The usually mischievous little girl pretended to be very obedient and sat in front of the table to eat. Her little hand grabbed the chopsticks and ate from time to time. The rice was spilled everywhere and her little mouth was also dirty. Yu Yang looked at the girl in black again and found that she was actually not that old, about 14 or 15 years old. She looked similar to the beautiful woman, but her face was more childish and tender. Her eyes were slightly red and there were traces of tears on her face. When she saw Yu Yang walking out, she immediately wiped it off and covered her face with the black veil that she had pulled down around her neck. Yu Yang sighed in his heart. In the soaring dragon continent, if a girl covered her face with a black veil, other than the rare female thief, there was only one kind of person, the widow. This girl in black should be the beautiful woman's eldest daughter, Yu Bing. She was ranked 7th among the Yu clan's 9 juniors, only ranked higher than her younger sister, Shuang Er, and the second branch's 9th son, Yu Feng. She was a genius among the Yu clan's juniors, successfully contracting a grimoire at the age of 8.5. Unfortunately, the soaring dragon continent valued males more than females. They felt that females were mainly used for family marriages or royal concubines, and would be married off to someone else sooner or later. Although they carefully nurtured her, she was far less important than the eldest son, Yu Tian, or even the other males in the family. Moreover, there were indeed more geniuses in this generation of the Yu clan. The first branch's eldest son, Yu Tian, successfully contracted a grimoire at the age of 10. Fourth son, Yu Yan, successfully contracted a grimoire at the age of 11. Sixth son, Yu Bao, also successfully contracted a grimoire at the age of 12. The slightly weaker ones were the second daughter, Yu Yu, and the fifth son, Yu Ting. Both of them successfully contracted a grimoire at the age of 15. Hence, in comparison, Yu Bing of the fourth branch wasn't that outstanding. Furthermore, her inherent skill and beast were all plant-type beasts that people didn't think highly of. Other than the immortal spirit pavilion, which only accepted female disciples, who had sent people over to take a look and observe her, the other 3 sects didn't have any reaction. It was precisely because there were countless geniuses in the younger generation of the Yu clan that the third branch's parents had died, and the pitiful guy who had been adopted by the fourth branch as a son was still unable to contract a grimoire at the age of 19. It was impossible for him not to become trash. Yu Yang thought to himself, it was no wonder that Miss Shui would propose to cancel the engagement. If she were to marry into a family filled with geniuses, how could she bear to marry such a trash husband? Comparisons are odious. The pitiful guy, who had suffered a huge blow, had his marriage annulled and committed suicide by jumping into the river. Yu Bing, who was equally unfortunate, did not. Of course, her engagement was not broken off, but her fiancé, the genius youth of the Feng clan, the head of the 4 great clans, had unfortunately been killed by a wandering Golden King beast when he was participating in a trial 3 years ago. This made her become a widow before she could marry into the family. The people of the soaring dragon continent were very superstitious. Most of them thought that this little girl's fate was not good, and that she would bring bad luck to her husband. Hence, even though it was the Yu clan of the 4 great clans, no one was willing to propose marriage. After all, everyone's sons were precious, and no one was willing to sacrifice their son for nothing just because they wanted to marry into a big clan. "Third brother, congratulations," the black-clothed Yu Bing said in a low voice. She lightly struggled out of her mother's embrace and prepared to return to her room. "Your third brother is not an outsider. Bing Er, you don't have to return to your room to eat. It's not a big deal to eat as a family." The beautiful woman pressed the black-clothed Yu Bing down. "Yes." The black-clothed Yu Bing hesitated for a while, but in the end she pulled down her black veil and picked up her bowl and chopstick. She counted the rice in her mouth and suddenly asked Yu Yang, "Third brother, what kind of guardian beast did you get?" "Elemental type fog." Yu Yang realized that he had never told the truth since he had been transported to this world. "Elemental type, I'm not good at it. I'm an unorthodox student in the academy, and I'm only good at beast type, plant type. I don't know anything about elemental types at all." The black-clothed Yu Bing held her bowl in silence for a while, then said softly, "How about I give you the easiest and lowest level spitting thorny flower? But that would waste a tenth of third brother's summoning grimoire." "No problem." Yu Yang knew his background. He had the phantom shadow, that could last for 10 days, and also the innate invisible sword chi. The number of pages in his copper grimoire and the number of beasts he had wasn't important. But since the little girl wanted to teach him, he would learn a little from her. Firstly, he could deal with the beautiful woman. Secondly, he could familiarize himself with the various basic summoning technique. Maybe he could use them in battles in the future. The black-clothed Yu Bing wasn't a talkative person. She nodded her head lightly and went to finish the rice in her bowl in silence. The little girl stood up from her chair and used her chopsticks to grab the smoked fish that was furthest away from her. Seeing that she was supporting herself with one hand on the table and the other in front of her, Yu Yang was worried for the little girl. He hoped that she wouldn't fall. The beautiful woman lightly hit her, scolding her for not being well-behaved and eating without table manners. The little girl trembled in fear, but she still managed to grab a large piece of smoked fish. When she straightened her back, her face was full of pride as she made a face at Yu Yang to show off. But who would have thought that she would be so pleased with herself? The chair swayed and her legs couldn't stand firm. She fell to the ground with a sound. Yu Yang threw the bowl away, and before the little girl could fall to the ground, he used a movement similar to when playing basketball to save the ball. He used both his hands to support her little head and her little butt. The force of the impact was too strong, and his body slid 2 meters away. Luckily his hands were still steady, and the little girl didn't fall to the ground. "Brother Xiao-san is so powerful." The little girl was so scared that her face turned pale, but after she recovered, she immediately forgot everything and jumped down. She lay on top of Yu Yang, hugged him, and laughed happily. When the beautiful woman came back to her senses, she angrily stood up, wanting to teach the little thing a lesson. The little girl didn't want to be bullied, so she immediately ran away. "Sanner, you didn't hurt yourself, right?" The beautiful woman stretched out her hand, wanting to pull Yu Yang up. "No, I'm fine." Yu Yang couldn't show weakness in front of her, so he immediately bounced up from the ground. In fact, he didn't fall at all. He was stunned for a few seconds because he was shocked by his own skills. Since when did his little otaku body become so nimble? Could it be that this was the effect of practicing the innate invisible sword chi? How many days had he been practicing it? This innate invisible sword chi was really awesome. Yu Yang was extremely excited, but on the surface, he pretended that nothing had happened. He sat back at the table and continued eating. The black-clothed Yu Bing, holding a small bowl, looked at Yu Yang in surprise. After a long time she finally said, "Sanner, you usually practice your combat skills, right?" "I also practice my combat skills occasionally, but I couldn't react in time just now. If Sanner can think of a way to contract a strengthening type beast in the future and use it with the element type, mist, then his combat skills would definitely improve greatly. Looks like the mist that doesn't have any attack abilities is the most suitable for Sanner's growth." When the beautiful woman heard this, she was a little happy for her Sanner's diligence and self-improvement, but she was more worried. Because in her heart, combat skills were only a mercenary's skills, the real future was still in summoning. She picked up a piece of delicious and juicy pork ribs for Yu Yang. "Sanner, you hid it from us for a long time. It's good to practice combat skills secretly, but it couldn't be helped before we didn't have a grimoire. Now that we have a summoning grimoire, we should focus on developing our summoning skills. Just practice combat skills as a supplement, but don't ruin your future because you mainly practice combat skills. Actually, the one who secretly practiced combat skills in the past was the pitiful guy, not me. Yu Yang didn't say this out loud, but nodded in agreement with the beautiful woman's words. He also knew that in the hearts of the people of the soaring dragon continent, practicing combat skills and training in summoning skills could not be compared. People who practiced combat skills were like migrant workers who hadn't graduated from junior high school and went to the city to work, while people who practiced summoning skills were like university students who had graduated from famous schools. Even if two people entered the same company and did the same thing, the treatment they received would be completely different. After lunch, the black-clothed Yu Bing followed Yu Yang back to his courtyard. She was preparing to pass on the knowledge she had learned in the academy to Yu Yang, the fake Sanner. Chapter 7. The little girl stuck her head out and looked around for a while. Just as she was about to come in and cause trouble, she was caught by the beautiful woman and even spanked a few times. Black-clothed Yu Bing reached out her hand and summoned her grimoire. Her grimoire was also a bronze grimoire like Yu Yang's grimoire. However, after many years of training and battles, her grimoire had already surpassed intermediate and leveled up to advanced bronze grimoire. Compared to Yu Yang's beginner bronze grimoire, her grimoire was even brighter and had a more metallic feel to it. On the surface of Yu Bing's advanced bronze grimoire, the mysterious patterns were vivid and lifelike. Just by looking at it, one could see that it was very different from Yu Yang's grimoire. Of course, no matter if it was beginner, intermediate or advanced, a bronze grimoire was still the lowest level of grimoire. Above bronze, there were silver, gold, platinum and diamond grimoires. Gift of Spitting Thorny Flower. Third brother, recited in your heart. Her advanced bronze grimoire touched Yu Yang's beginner bronze grimoire, and a golden light flashed like a rainbow. After Yu Yang recited it in his heart, he found that his grimoire had automatically flipped to another page. On the originally blank third page, there was an additional picture of a strange flower. The words on it were, Spitting Thorny Flower, Beast, Level 1, Uncontracted. When Yu Yang saw it, he found that there was a strange connection between their souls. Indistinctly, it was a kind of silent summoning. He couldn't help but put his hand on the picture of the spitting thorny flower. Immediately, a golden light flashed, and rays of golden light seeped out from his fingers, silently merging into his palm, the back of his hand and his arm. In Yu Yang's mind, information about the spitting thorny flower, this strange creature, appeared. Black-clothed Yu Bing's eyes widened. She hadn't even told him how to contract a plant-type beast. How did he succeed? What was even weirder was that he didn't even open his mouth to chant the contract. Could it be that this third brother, who was called Trash, had already reached the realm where he could contract with just a recitation? Black-clothed Yu Bing decided to observe secretly. She felt that perhaps this third brother was not the Trash that others ridiculed. On the contrary, he was extremely likely to be a true genius. Summon the spitting thorny flower. Black-clothed Yu Bing purposely didn't say how to summon the thorny flower. Although summoning a thorny flower was the easiest to grasp, if one didn't know the summoning technique, it would still be a headache. This was because summoning a plant type was completely different from bug type, bird type, beast type and so on. Even if there was a student who was proficient in other elements, if he had never learned about plant-type summoning, it would be very difficult for him to summon a plant-type beast, even if it was the easiest to summon a spitting thorny flower. All right. How could Yu Yang know what this little girl in front of him was thinking? He thought that this was something that everyone in the soaring dragon continent knew. He placed his hand on the spitting thorny flower's pattern and closed his eyes. His mind connected with the contracted spitting thorny flower. A golden light flickered slightly. About a meter in front of Yu Yang, a plant with green stems, huge leaves and purple flowers slowly emerged from the ground. It extended to a height of about 1.5 meters before stopping. Yu Yang discovered that this spitting thorny flower looked extremely ugly. It looked a little like the man-eating flowers in games. There were only 2 petals, and it opened and closed like a strange animal's mouth. The inside of the petals was filled with dense, sharp teeth. It looked very terrifying. Below the flower's lower jaw, there was a green liquid that smelled slightly fishy. It seemed to be a kind of acid poison. Other than the petals that looked like a big mouth, this spitting thorny flower's body was covered with thorns. Yu Yang originally wanted to pluck up his courage and reach out to touch it. In the end, seeing that this thorny flower's appearance was really unlikable, he retracted his hand. On the other side, black-clothed Yu Bing, this little girl, opened her eyes wide. She thought that her third brother was really a genius. He had never gone to school before and had never learned any plant summoning skills, but he was able to summon the spitting thorny flower just by relying on his telepathy. When Yu Yang raised his head to look at her, the little girl's expression recovered quite quickly. She had already pretended that nothing had happened. She did not open her mouth to praise Yu Yang, nor did she cry out in surprise. The expression on her face made it seem as if everything was normal. Yu Bing even said, "Your summoning speed is a bit slow, but it's your first time, so it's okay." Yu Yang felt ashamed when he heard this. He thought that he really wasn't a genius. It seemed that his achievements in summoning were limited. He would still have to rely on his innate invisible sword chi in the future. He scratched the back of his head and said to the little girl, "Actually, it's already not bad that I could summon it. Then what should I do next?" Black-clothed Yu Bing saw his actions and secretly laughed. On the surface, she pretended to be I'm a teacher, and quickly summoned a spitting thorny flower. When Yu Yang saw that her summoning speed was 10 times faster than his, he immediately admired her. He felt that she was indeed worthy of being called a genius among the younger generation of the Yu clan. Black-clothed Yu Bing made a hand gesture and pointed to the wall in the distance. Try to let the spitting thorny flower attack a target. The spitting thorny flower can spray poison at the enemy. In order to test Yu Yang, this little girl purposely didn't tell him the technique to control the spitting thorny flower's attack. If it was someone else, if they didn't know the spitting thorny flower's attack technique, once they ordered the spitting thorny flower to attack, the spitting thorny flower would not spray poison. Instead, the spitting thorny flower would slowly crawl towards the target, using its mouth full of sharp teeth to attack. Ordering the spitting thorny flower to attack with poison was a control technique. This was also one of the questions in the school's exams. If a plant-type student couldn't control the spitting thorny flower to spray poison within 10 minutes, or make the spitting thorny flower crawl more than 3 meters, then they would fail. Therefore, this technique of controlling the spitting thorny flower to attack with poison was also one of the most basic control techniques that plant-type students usually practiced. Black-clothed Yu Bing no longer treated Yu Yang as a newbie who had just contracted a grimoire. She completely treated him as if he was an academy student taking the exam. "Attack the wall, poison spray," Yu Yang commanded, but the spitting thorny flower didn't have any reaction at all. This made Yu Yang feel very embarrassed. He couldn't even do a small, poison spray. It seemed that even if he had talent, it was still extremely limited. Looking at black-clothed Yu Bing's face and her serious expression, Yu Yang really felt like he had returned to school for lessons. He hurriedly raised his spirit by 120%. Why couldn't he do it? As Yu Yang thought about it this way, an idea suddenly flashed through his mind. He slapped his thigh. Sigh, he was really an idiot. Even if it was a military dog's attack training, it still needed a target. Moreover, the spitting thorny flower was a plant. It would be strange if it could understand his words. Yu Yang rushed to the wall and grabbed the yellow mud. He drew a circle on the wall that wasn't too round, and then drew a big cross in the middle. He then quickly returned, ignoring the thorns all over the spitting thorny flower's body. He lightly placed his hand on the top of its corolla and used his mind to communicate with the spitting thorny flower. Then, he slowly opened his eyes and looked at the target on the wall. Using his own vision, he transformed it into the spitting thorny flower's reaction and made it spray towards the target. He only heard a "see" sound. The spitting thorny flower opened its mouth, and a light green liquid shot out. It formed a parabola in the air, and finally splashed onto the wall. Yu Yang was greatly disappointed when he saw this, because the poison had deviated at least 2 meters from the target. The circle of mud was completely undamaged, and there wasn't even a single drop of acid. Damn, this kind of sight is too trash. Yu Yang was very ashamed, and felt that he didn't have the face to see anyone. Black-clothed Yu Bing pretended to be calm on the surface, but her heart was extremely shocked. Chapter 8. In Yu Bing's eyes, this third brother, who had never been to school before, had a much better control ability than the second-year students in the school. Without learning any control skills, he had self-taught the thorny flower to determine its target. He had also become one with the thorny flower, transforming his own senses into the thorny flower's sense of attack. This level of difficulty was a huge hurdle in the growth of all plant-type students. Plant-type summoned beasts were different from other types of beasts. They didn't have intelligence, they only had instincts. In order to teach them to attack, there was no other way. The person and the beast had to become one, otherwise they wouldn't be able to control the plant-type beast. Third brother, he had done it easily. Moreover, he had self-taught it. In just a few seconds, he was able to make the newly contracted and summoned spitting thorny flower spit poison at its target. With this kind of comprehension and talent, if he entered the school, he would probably be seen as a rare genius by the teachers. Black-clothed Yu Bing looked at the dejected Yu Yang. The biggest shock in her heart wasn't his comprehension, but this third brother who was called trash by others. He simply didn't know how terrifying his talent was. Yu Yang was about to hide in the corner of the wall and draw circles when he suddenly realized that the spitting thorny flower in front of him was rapidly withering. A memory flashed through his mind, making him slap his thigh again. He was really an idiot. The spitting thorny flower that could spit poison had advantages that other creatures didn't have. For example, it didn't need to be fed, it didn't need to be taken care of, and it didn't need any special living conditions. Compared to the bird-type and beast-type beasts that needed to be fed and consumed magic crystals to evolve, and compared to the insect-type and fish-type beasts that needed to meet certain conditions to survive, plant-type and puppet-type beasts were the easiest to manage. If a puppet-type beast was broken, it could be taken to the puppet palace to be repaired. But if it was destroyed, it would be destroyed forever. There was no way to revive it. Furthermore, the biggest weakness of puppet-type beasts was that they couldn't evolve. Plant-type beasts could evolve, but the biggest weakness of the plant-type beasts was their slow movement speed. At the same time, it didn't have any intelligence. Rather than training a spitting thorny flower to spit out poison, it would be better to train a wind wolf or a shadow leopard, letting them rely on their instincts to attack their enemies. However, the spitting thorny flower also had its advantages. Its biggest advantage was that it could devour corpses to evolve. Other than puppet-type corpses, as long as it was a living creature, it could continuously devour them and slowly digest them. Afterwards, it could use the energy of the other party's corpse to evolve and level up. However, in the early stages of the thorny flower, it was extremely weak. Spitting out the poison once would exhaust all of its energy, and it would quickly wither. Of course, this was not a true death. If one was completely annihilated, then there would be no resurrection. Among all the summoned beasts, no matter if they were holy beasts or mythical beasts, there was only one type that could never die, and that was the guardian beast in the summoning grimoire. Guardian beasts were the only summoned beasts that would never die or betray the grimoire. Other summoned beasts had a certain level of loyalty. Once their loyalty was over the limit, the summoned beast would run away in battle. In serious cases, they might even disappear from the grimoire. Looks like you've noticed it. Yes, plant-type beasts are different from other types. They have a special ability, and that is take root. Black-cloved Yubing controlled her spitting thorny flower to spit out the poison. She quickly and accurately hit the center of the mud circle on the wall, hitting the bull's eye. This move made Yu Yang blush with shame. As expected of the clan's genius girl, she's really powerful. Black-cloved Yubing's spitting thorny flower also slowly withered, but it didn't disappear like Yu Yang's thorny flower did. That thorny flower fell to the ground, and slowly, extremely slowly, it grew back. Black-cloved Yubing was like a little teacher as she explained to Yu Yang, "Just now, I let the thorny flower take root in the mud. With the replenishment of the earth's energy, the thorny flower will completely recover in about 10 minutes, and it won't wither." Yu Yang was as serious as a primary school student listening to a lesson. He nodded happily. "All right, I'll try again." Black-cloved Yubing was stunned when she heard this. Try again? Didn't he just make a contract with a grimoire? He just made a contract with a novice apprentice, and a novice apprentice could only summon one beast a day. That spitting thorny flower had already withered, what else could he try? Originally, she wanted to take this opportunity to teach him a lesson, telling him to pay attention to protect his summoned beast and not let it die easily. This was because everyone's summoning times were very limited, so no matter if it was in a battle or during normal times, he had to treasure it. He could still summon? Yu Yang didn't know what the little girl was thinking, but he excitedly summoned another spitting thorny flower and used all his strength to control it to take root in the mud. Success! I finally succeeded. Yu Yang clapped his hands in joy, rejoicing that although he wasn't a genius, he wasn't mediocre either. Black-cloved Yubing almost fell to the ground when she saw this. And so, the younger sister and the fake brother had this conversation. Third brother, didn't you just make a contract with a grimoire? I mean, you only made a successful summon a few days ago, right? The astonished black-cloved Yubing asked. Yes, that's right. Yu Yang nodded and replied. Then what level are you now? Are you a level 1 apprentice or a level 2 brave man? Black-cloved Yubing asked again. Level 1 apprentice. Yu Yang answered honestly. What level are you? A level 1 apprentice? Beginner, intermediate, or advanced? How far are you from level 2? What I mean is, could you have accidentally leveled up to level 2 and become a beginner brave man? Black-cloved Yubing asked suspiciously. Nope, how could it be that fast? Look, I'm definitely a beginner level 1 apprentice. Leveling up to level 2 is very difficult, I know that. Although Yu Yang had only been here for a few days, he still knew a little because of the Bronze Grimoire's knowledge. He opened the Bronze Grimoire's front page and let black-clothed Yubing see his own level and evaluation. Looking at it, the little girl felt even more dizzy. She asked, Third brother, can't a level 1 apprentice only summon one beast? How can you summon two? Yu Yang scratched his head. Actually, I didn't summon two. You didn't? What is this? Black-cloved Yubing pointed at the spitting thorny flower that Yu Yang had just summoned. Could it be that she was hallucinating? It's still the spitting thorny flower from before. Yu Yang was puzzled. What was wrong with it? Even if it was the spitting thorny flower from before, it had already withered. You can't summon it again today. How could you summon it again? Black-cloved Yubing almost fainted. Could it be that her third brother was a legendary genius that only appeared once in 1,000 years? It was said that there was a kind of abnormal genius who could make an exception and summon a beast that was especially compatible with him twice. But this kind of abnormal genius, not to mention 100 years, even in 1,000 years there weren't many of them. Her own third brother was this kind of abnormal genius? Black-cloved Yubing looked at Yu Yang again. Her eyes had a different expression, as if she had seen a super-abnormal genius. Yu Yang didn't know that he was different from others. He even tried to explain himself muddle-headedly. Actually, it didn't die. When I summoned the spitting thorny flower just now, I used the method of clone division. I left its main body behind and summoned the sub-body that it had split off from. Anyway, the abilities of the clone division are the same. It's just that after the clone division has died, the main body will still be preserved and will not be affected. Of course, this kind of summoning is quite strenuous. What did you say? You know, clone division summoning? Black-clothed Yu Bing felt as if a thunderbolt had exploded in the sky. Chapter 9. Doesn't the thorny flower have the ability to spit poison, take root, split branches, eat corpses and spore? Now that the corpses don't have corpses, spores can only be used at a higher level, so I used split branches. What are you doing? Yu Yang realized that his collar was being grabbed by the little girl. You know, split branches? Did I hear wrongly? The black-clothed Yu Bing was so excited that her face was flushed red. Her little hands grabbed Yu Yang's collar tightly as she stared at him and interrogated him. Most of the plant-type beasts had the ability to split branches. Especially the flower, vine and fungus beasts, almost all of them could split branches. A few plant-type beasts like trees and bamboos might not be able to do it. The teachers in the academy would teach their students, take root, and the spit poison, but split branches was not easily taught to them. Normally, they would never even mention it. Yu Bing only knew that plant-type beasts had the split branches ability from reading books. Previously, she had asked her teacher to teach her, but that greedy fellow hinted that she would need at least 50 gold in order to teach her this secret skill. Unfortunately, all the money at home had been used to buy the Spirit Beast Awakening Knowledge Pill for third brother in the Floating Mist sect. Yu Bing, who had no money, could only bitterly reject this kind of disguised bribery. Hence, she had never been able to learn the split branches ability of plant-type beasts. Now, she never thought that her third brother, who was regarded as trash by the world, would also know this kind of secret skill that the teacher did not teach. How could she not be excited? Third brother, teach me the split branches technique of plant-type beasts. The black-clothed Yu Bing was extremely excited. Her hands that were grabbing onto Yu Yang's collar were trembling. Let go of me first, don't be too excited. Yu Yang was speechless. In his heart, he thought that this little girl was really too eager to learn. Seventh sister, this is actually very simple. It's the same as a normal summoning. First, you have telepathy with your beast, and you will feel as if you have complete control over your beast. Then, you can make it use its instinct to split. And there's one thing you have to take note of. At this time, you must have enough spiritual energy in your body. Then, it will reflect an image to you, just like having two thorny flowers in your mind. You have to leave the main body behind, and summon the secondary body that has split out. As long as you have enough spiritual energy, and the main body doesn't change, then you can split out many secondary bodies and summon them again. But it's very strenuous, and your mind will be very confused and uncomfortable. Yu Yang told the black-clothed Yu Bing everything about the thorny flowers that the bronze grimoire had imparted to him, as well as his own experiences. He knew that even if it was the plant element, there would definitely be more profound knowledge. But right now, his level was too low. He was only a novice apprentice, so he couldn't sort it all out. Even this knowledge was most likely because he had the divine vision inherent skill, which allowed him to see through the thorny flower's hidden skills. Otherwise, why hadn't this little girl, who had been studying in the academy for so long, and was a true genius, learned a split branches? Yes, okay, I'll try it immediately. This time, it was the black-clothed Yu Bing's turn to listen to him seriously like a primary school student. She nodded her head frequently, and the excitement on her face didn't fade away for a long time. Take it slowly, don't rush. Before Yu Yang could finish speaking, the little girl had already stretched out her hand to touch the image. She closed her eyes and meditated, trying it out. After a long time, there was still no reaction. Yu Yang even suspected that he was wrong. Suddenly, he saw the black-clothed Yu Bing. Her face was filled with pain and became deathly white. Her small hands trembled. After about a minute, a golden light flowed out from between her fingers. 2 spitting thorny flowers had been summoned. The one on the left was obviously taller, and its stem was also bigger. But other than that, the 2 on the left and right were exactly the same. No matter if it was color, shape or movement, they were exactly the same. The only difference was the size. At this time, the black-clothed Yu Bing's forehead was full of sweat, as if she had fought a big battle. She opened her eyes and wiped her sweat with her small hands, while suppressing her breathing. Although she looked very tired, her eyes were filled with the excitement and joy of success. I succeeded. Thank you, third brother. I've always wanted to learn split branches, but the teacher refused to teach me. Thank you, third brother. The black-clothed Yu Bing's eyes were a little red, perhaps because she remembered the many grievances she had suffered in the academy. But the little girl was very strong and didn't cry. Instead, she bowed deeply towards Yu Yang. Yu Yang hurriedly shook his head and waved his hands. You're welcome, seventh sister. If you hadn't given me the spitting thorny flower, I wouldn't have known it had such an ability. As soon as he said this, the black-clothed Yu Bing came back to her senses. That's right, didn't third brother just get the spitting thorny flower? How did he know about split branches? Yu Yang realized that the little girl was looking at him as if he was a monster. His heart felt dizzy, and he hurriedly lied. Seventh sister, it's like this. My inherent skill is concealment. In other words, I can discover some hidden skills or attribute. However, my inherent skill is only level 1, so the secrets that I can discover are probably the most basic. Indeed, I couldn't see your inherent skill. I didn't notice it just now. I didn't think that third brother's inherent skill was actually such a mysterious, concealment inherent skill. No matter how much of a genius black-clothed Yu Bing was, she was still a little girl. She believed Yu Yang's lies immediately. Yes, but you mustn't tell anyone else. Otherwise, people will be jealous of you. Yu Yang was a low-key person. His biggest wish was to become rich quietly. Third brother, you said that other than poison spray, root division and the split branches, the plant-type thorny flower also has corpse eating and the spores. What are these 2? The black-clothed Yu Bing had now completely become Yu Yang's student. After she solved the split branches skill that she desired the most, she eagerly asked about the other 2 skills. Only now did Yu Yang realize that the knowledge he had grasped was actually more than a top student who had studied for 4 years. Yu Yang really wanted to raise his head to the sky, put his hands behind his back, and walk like an old man. Then, he would listen to the little girl Yu Bing sweetly call him Teacher Yu. After the guy from another world felt pleased with himself, his evil intentions surfaced again. Although Yu Bing, this little girl, was definitely harmless to him, he still felt that it was a little wrong to tell her everything he knew. He was obviously a shameless bastard. How could he treat this little girl so well? Thus, Yu Yang decided to hide a part of the thorny flower's secret. The thorny flower's corpse-eating skill is to devour the corpses of animals. This way, it can slowly evolve. When you order the thorny flower to eat corpses, you need to control it with your mind. For example, if you want the thorny flower to swallow a bristled mouse, you must also think of swallowing that bristled mouse in your heart. Before Yu Yang could finish speaking, the black-clothed Yu Bing's face turned a little pale. It was fine to order the thorny flower, but she also needed to think about eating a rat? When the little girl thought about it, she almost vomited. Actually, the guy from another world had purposely used a rat as an example. Moreover, the thorny flower's corpse-eating skill was not that simple. He had hidden the real secret. Chapter 10. Ha ha! Yu Yang laughed mischievously in his heart. He had only used the example of swallowing a live rat, but he did not reveal the thorny flower's true secret. When the thorny flower swallowed a different type of creature, it would not evolve at all. However, it could recover a large amount of energy. Especially after a long period of swallowing, it could store a large amount of energy and form a fruit-like thorny flower fruit bottle, hanging on the thorny flower, replenishing the thorny flower's energy consumption at any time. If the thorny flower wanted to evolve after swallowing a creature, it had to be a creature of the same type. The higher the level, the better. In the process of swallowing a creature of the same type, there was a taboo that no one knew about. If it swallowed a large amount of creatures of the same type from the start, then the thorny flower would not evolve, and would only level up. On the contrary, if the thorny flower swallowed a human corpse instead of a creature of the same type, then the thorny flower would not level up and would only evolve and evolve. Most of the creatures in the soaring dragon continent were normal rank. Only a small number of creatures would mutate due to various conditions. Mutated creatures were much stronger than normal creatures. This kind of mutated creature could easily evolve into an elite-ranked creature. When it evolved into an elite-ranked creature, its strength would increase by a terrifying amount. Just like summoning grimoires, elite-ranked creatures were divided into 5 ranks: bronze, silver, gold, platinum, and diamond. Every time an elite-ranked creature advanced a rank, its strength would increase by more than 10 times. Forget about platinum-ranked or diamond-ranked beasts. Even owning a bronze-ranked beast was something that ordinary people could only dream of. Forget about eating corpses. My guardian beast is not a thorny flower, it's a treeman warrior. I usually use the thorny flower to practice my plant-type control techniques, not to use it for battle. Black-clothed Yubing hurriedly waved her hands to reject. She couldn't bear to swallow a rat, she couldn't even think about it. What a pity! Yu Yang laughed secretly in his heart. He knew that this little girl had no interest in eating corpses. Sanji, tell me more about the spore skill. Black-clothed Yubing was definitely a smart and studious girl. She didn't have any bad intentions like Yu Yang. This is a special skill that only appears when the thorny flower evolves to level 4 Thorny Flower Overlord. When the spitting thorny flower evolved into a level 2 carnivorous thorny flower or a level 3 giant thorny flower, none of them had the ability to release spores. Only when it reached level 4 would it become a thorny overlord flower. It could release its spores as a parasite, turning its dead host into a spitting thorny flower. If the target is a living person, then the spores will directly burrow into the living person's internal organs and suck their blood before breaking out of the body and evolving into a carnivorous thorny flower. Hearing Yu Yang's words, Yubing couldn't take it anymore. As long as she thought about it, a spore would float over, burrow into a person's mouth, and then quickly devour the internal organs before bursting out of the body. An ugly, flesh-eating thorny flower quickly grew out of the man's body, and he died on the spot. That was too scary. Although the black-clothed Yubing was a genius girl, her mind was only that of a 15-year-old girl. Her pure heart was very resistant to such bloody things. Of course, this was because Yu Yang had purposely made it so bloody. The real use of the spores was not to kill a living person. Who would be so stupid as to let the spores parasitize their own body? The spores' main use was to destroy the corpses of beasts. Some special beasts could turn into zombies after death, and they could also revive under certain conditions. For example, water-type beasts or fire-type beasts could be revived under the summoning of their master's special skill if they were bathed in water or raging flames that were filled with energy. When the thorny flower's master couldn't take care of these things in battle, the thorny flower's spores could be used in a big way. It could parasitize the corpses of animals and turn them into spitting thorny flowers, destroying the opponent's beast's revival. This would imperceptibly weaken the opponent's battle strength. As for parasitizing a living person, that was actually a very difficult thing to do. Furthermore, rather than parasitizing with its spores, it would be better to let the thorny flower overlord swallow that unlucky fellow. That way, it might be able to evolve again. Thank you, third brother. The thorny flower is a very weak plant-type beast. Plant-type beasts are originally weak, and the thorny flower is the weakest kind. It would be very difficult to train a level 4 thorny flower overlord, so it's best not to have this kind of idea. You should mainly train your guardian beast, because that is the most suitable for your growth. What? You can't summon your own guardian beast? Maybe you are the same as me, the most unorthodox kind of summoner. What a pity! If third brother had the inherent skill of summoning other beasts, then your future would be limitless. What a pity! When the black-cloaked Yu Bing heard Yu Yang say that he couldn't summon his guardian beast, she immediately felt sad for him. She immediately comforted him, saying that a guardian beast would definitely be the most suitable for its master to grow. The reason why he couldn't summon it now was probably because his spiritual energy and level were not high enough. If he could level it up in the future, then it would definitely not be a problem. In the end, Yu Bing consoled him, saying that the requirements for element-type summoning were very high. She had also heard that some element-type students couldn't summon their own guardian beast in the beginning. She wanted to let Yu Yang throw away the burden in his heart, but who would have known that his summoned guardian beast was not an element-type fog, but a special-type phantom shadow. Furthermore, with the spiritual energy in Yu Yang's body, it wasn't like he couldn't summon a phantom shadow. He could summon it 2 days ago, but he didn't say it out loud. It's a pity that third brother's inherent skill is as unorthodox as mine. Both of us have no future in the plant type, and it's even a thorny flower. Yu Bing shook her head and sighed. In her mind, the thorny flower was the weakest beast. It was a beast used as a teaching tool in the academy, and was destined to not have much development. It's okay, as long as you work hard, no matter what kind of beast, even if it's a thorny flower, after reaching level 10, it will also become very strong. Seeing that the little girl was feeling sad for him, Yu Yang couldn't help but comfort her instead. Actually, according to the knowledge transmitted to him by the bronze grimoire, he understood a very important point. That was, although plant-type beasts looked weak on the surface, they were actually not weak at all. They were not inferior to the most sought-after beast-type and bird-type beasts. Although the thorny flower seemed to be the weakest among the plant-type beasts, it was actually the opposite. It had a huge growth potential that other plant-type beasts didn't have. If one were to choose an emperor among all the plant-type beasts, it would be the thorny flower that everyone looked down upon. 3,000 years ago, there was a ranker known as the Thorny Flower Fairy, who evolved a thorny flower to its peak, turning it into a human-like golden-crowned thorny flower queen. During the battle against the demon abyss invasion of the soaring dragon continent, this thorny flower fairy and her thorny flower queen joined hands and killed 3 blood prison demon kings. Furthermore, they devoured more than 5,000 demons from the demon legion. The endless sea of flowers that she created became the nightmare of all the creatures in the demon abyss. Even the hell-black dragon king, who was known to be invincible on the battlefield, quickly retreated when he saw her, avoiding battle. This thorny flower fairy was the only ranker among the humans who could single-handedly resist and slaughter an entire army of the demon abyss invasion. Regrettably, her lover died in battle, and the thorny flower fairy committed suicide in her loneliness. In the future, no one knew the true secret of the thorny flower. Countless rankers had tried, but no one was able to make the thorny flower evolve into a mythical beast in human form. In the end, people had no choice but to give up on researching the thorny flower. Beast-type and bird-type beasts, these 2 types of beasts that had a huge advantage in the beginning, quickly rose to power and were welcomed by people. 3,000 years later, The plant-type thorny flower had long been forgotten by people as the most terrifying mythical beast in human form. It had become the weakest beast, and had even become a teaching tool in the academy. That's right, a warrior should always strive to become stronger and persevere. Third brother, thank you. Yu Bing nodded and bowed slightly towards Yu Yang like a polite primary school student. Third brother, I'll go back first today. I'll come back to practice tomorrow. Looking at the little girl's back, Yu Yang muttered to himself, since the world doesn't care about the thorny flower, then I'll cultivate a golden-crowned thorny flower queen. Chapter 11. Another week passed. The beautiful woman's husband Yu Ling still did not return. He only sent a servant back. According to this servant, the Yu clan castle was very lively. Everywhere was decorated with lanterns and colored banners. The reason was that the second branch Yu Ling's youngest son, Yu Feng, had already contracted a grimoire at the age of 6. Now, the 4 great sects had sent 3 disciples to receive him. The Eastern Ocean Crystal Palace, the Southern Floating Mist Sect, the Western Lion Pagoda and the Northern Moon Fairy Pavilion. Other than the Fairy Pavilion that only accepted female disciples, the rest had all sent people. The Emperor and Empress had also sent people to congratulate him. All the ministers and generals in the court had gathered. The entire Yu clan was busy socializing. Even Yu Ling had to stay behind to help. As for the Spirit Beast Awakening Knowledge Pill, the Yu clan elder took it and gave it to Yu Feng as a gift. Since Xiao Jiu was chosen by the Eastern, Southern and Western sects, why didn't grandfather and second uncle send someone to inform us? The black-clothed Yu Bing's face turned pale after hearing this. Although she was young, she could already understand some of the ways of the world. It's okay, it's just a banquet. It's fine if we don't go, as long as our San heir has a bright future. The beautiful woman's eyes were slightly red. Now, the clan was obviously looking down on the 4th branch, but she was not discouraged. Even when the Spirit Beast Awakening Knowledge Pill that she had spent all her family's assets to buy was snatched away by the 2nd branch, she did not feel depressed. Because she felt that she had already obtained what she wanted the most. That was her San heir successfully contracting a grimoire. As long as the contract was successful, there would be hope in the future. As for whether the master would invite her to the banquet, she did not care at all. Although this contempt made her feel wronged and sad, she, who was used to being submissive, could accept it and see through it. Yu Yang was quite surprised. He was very clear what it meant to contract a grimoire at the age of 6 in the Soaring Dragon continent. Using a student as an example, successfully contracting a grimoire was equivalent to a student successfully entering a prestigious university like Harvard or Cambridge. If there were no accidents in the future, they would definitely have a bright future. In the Soaring Dragon continent, 99% of the youths could not contract a grimoire. Only a few geniuses had the chance to succeed. Moreover, among the grimoire owners, most of them only managed to contract a grimoire after the age of 15. For example, it was equivalent to passing the college entrance examination at the age of 15. Now that Yu Feng had passed the college entrance examination at the age of 6, he was truly an extraordinary child prodigy. No wonder the entire clan would celebrate, the imperial family would come to congratulate him, and the 4 sects would welcome him. Of course, Yu Yang was not envious of the other party. He was clear about what he had. He had the Gemini Star inherent skill, the secret to leveling up the Golden Crown Thorny Flower Queen, and his guardian beast was a phantom that could be summoned for 10 days. Most importantly, Yu Yang had the innate skill, the innate invisible sword chi, that only the strongest warriors in the Soaring Dragon continent had started to train in. As long as he mastered the first level, he would be able to step into the innate realm. In the Soaring Dragon continent, if a level 7 ranker had the help of a holy beast or a divine beast, he could also start to step into the innate realm. However, Only rankers who were level 8 and above would dare to say that they were a true innate ranker. In that case, how many innate experts were there in the world? There weren't many old men who had the strength to look down on the common people in the world. Even if there were, they would be old men who were hundreds of years old. For example, the genius Yu Feng who had passed the high school entrance exam at the age of 6, the imperial family would come to congratulate him, and the 4 sects would welcome him. On the other hand, Yu Yang didn't even take the high school entrance exam, nor did he study at Harvard or Cambridge. He graduated straight away and started to study for a master's degree. Fourth master's luck isn't too good. When he was drawing beasts for third young master, he only got these. The old servant who came to pass on the message was a little uneasy. He knelt on the ground and kowtowed a few times, then used his trembling hands to offer the brocade box. Quintet puppet mice? This is too much. These quintet puppet mice are all level 1 special type beasts. Other than scouting, they have no other use. Furthermore, he contracted 5 of them at once, wasting the pages of the grimoire. There are countless high-quality puppet beasts in the clan. There are level 3 bronze-ranked battle wolves and level 4 silver-ranked battle tigers. Why did Grandpa give us these? Is this the doing of first uncle and second uncle? Why should third brother accept this? The black-clothed Yu Bing took the box and opened it to take a look. Her face became even paler and her voice became sharper, extremely angry. Bing don't be rude to your elders. The beautiful woman reprimanded her lightly. She then turned to Yu Yang and said tactfully, San if this beast is not good, we can just not contract it. Don't complain too much in your heart. As a descendant of the Yu clan, no matter what the elders bestow, it is a blessing. Accumulate good fortune and virtue, don't rely on external forces, and constantly strive to become stronger. This is our duty as a human. The black-clothed Yu Bing lowered her head. She still felt that her clansmen were not being fair to her family, and felt wronged. When Yu Yang received the brocade box, a strange message suddenly flashed through his mind, giving him a feeling of sudden enlightenment. The quintet puppet mice were created by ghost genius Yu Gong, one of the 3 heroes of the revival of the Yu clan 600 years ago. Because the Yu clan had lost more than half of their spear techniques, the Yu clan became weaker with each generation. As the clan gradually declined, 3 powerful people were born and revived the Yu clan. The younger generation called them the 3 heroes of the revival. It was them who turned the tides and rebuilt the Yu clan into one of the 4 great clans. Among them, the ghost genius Yu Gong's special puppet-type beast was the most famous. The outside world might not know about the Yu clan's spear techniques, the earth bear strengthening type beast that was passed down from generation to generation, or the Wu Mu art of war that only the clan masters could learn, but they would definitely know that the Yu clan was the grandmaster of puppet-type beasts. Whether it was mercenaries, warriors, blacksmiths, merchants or even the low-ranking soldiers in the army, they all respected this ghost genius Yu Gong. This was because this ghost genius Yu Gong had invented hundreds of puppet-type beasts, allowing them to choose and use them easily. Whether it was in life or in battle, it was extremely convenient. This ghost genius Yu Gong was respected by the royal family as one of the 2 saints worshipped in the superlative workmanship palace. The common people even regarded him as the grandmaster of puppet machines. Such an outstanding person had actually invented a type of useless quintet puppet mouse, causing the clansmen to be puzzled. Unfortunately, this ghost genius had a weak and sickly body and had overworked himself. At a young age, he died of exhaustion in the puppet palace. He did not have the time to sort out one of his life's wishes, the puppet grimoire. In the end, he also left behind many strange puppet-type beasts that the clansmen could not understand. For example, the most puzzling one was the useless quintet puppet mouse that the ghost genius Yu Gong loved so much when he was alive. The later generations of the clansmen did not dare to speculate too much. They only dared to think that this was one of the first works that the ghost genius Yu Gong had created before he became famous. He had a special feeling for it, that was why he loved it so much. In the past 600 years, no one was willing to accept this useless quintet puppet mouse that took up too much of the summoning space in the grimoire. Until today, it was unfortunately picked by fourth Uncle Yu Ling and fell into Yu Yang's hands. I don't dare to reject the gift from my elders. I will accept this quintet puppet mouse beast. Thank you, fourth uncle, and thank you, fourth mother, for your teachings. Yu Yang pretended to be a good child. If he did not use his divine vision to find out that this quintet puppet mouse was a treasure, it would be strange if he was willing to accept it. Now that he could easily pick up this treasure that he yearned for, of course he was secretly happy. May the ancestors bless my San'er with a bright future. Seeing that Yu Yang was so obedient, the beautiful woman was really happy in her heart. She nodded her head and said good repeatedly. Third brother, you must not contract it. On the surface, the quintet puppet mouse is the same beast, but once the contract is successful, there will be 5 metal, wood, water, fire and earth, taking up 5 summoning spaces. There are only 10 pages in the bronze grimoire. You have already used the first 3 pages, and you even have the useless spitting thorny flower. If you use 5 more pages, you will only have 2 pages left. Listen to me, third brother, this is definitely arranged by someone. They are afraid that you will be able to make a comeback, and that our 4th branch will fight for power in the future. You must not contract this quintet puppet mouse. The black-clothed Yu Bing panicked. She pulled Yu Yang's hand, not allowing him to contract this quintet puppet mouse. Chapter 12. Bing Heir, what nonsense are you talking about? What fight for power? We are a family, we should unite and live in harmony. The beautiful woman glared at her daughter. She was afraid that Yu Yang did not know the gravity of the situation, or that he would really contract the quintet puppet mice out of anger. She stepped forward and patted Yu Yang's shoulder lightly. San'er, keep it for now. We can study it slowly and understand its use before we contract it. Uncle Zhong, please tell the clan master that the 4th daughter-in-law and San'er are grateful for the clan's kindness. If San'er becomes successful in the future, he will repay the clan with all his heart. Hearing the beautiful woman's words, the servant, Uncle Zhong, lowered his head and complied. He then respectfully handed over a special silver-patterned banknote with gold and silver patterns with both hands. This was the subsidy that every junior in the Yu clan who had successfully contracted a grimoire would receive. With this special patterned banknote, Yu Yang could exchange it for 100 gold in any big city within the Yu clan. 100 gold was not a small amount of money. Since there was money to accept, Yu Yang naturally accepted it without hesitation. Seeing this, Yu Bing felt a little indignant. She knew that on the surface, everyone would receive 100 gold, but in reality, the 1st and 2nd daughter-in-law would receive 150 gold, or even 200 gold. When it was her turn, she would receive 120 gold. Now that it was her third brother's turn, why did he only receive 100 gold? This was obviously looking down on others. 7th sister, don't be angry. It's already good enough to receive 100 gold. Yu Yang felt that he was not the pitiful guy. It was already good enough that he could receive money even though he was a fake. As for the Yu clan members looking down on the beautiful woman and not treating her as a kind and virtuous daughter-in-law, he felt that when he had the power, he would definitely bring the beautiful woman back to the Yu clan castle and trample on those arrogant fellows. This way, he would be able to take revenge for the 4th daughter-in-law's care and love. Although he was not the pitiful guy, in reality, he had enjoyed all the love she had for the pitiful guy. Although he didn't say it on the surface, Yu Yang had the intention to help her vent her anger. After the old servant Uncle Zhong left, the black-clothed Yu Bing repeatedly warned Yu Yang not to contract the bronze grimoire. That would be a waste of the bronze grimoire's pages. Yu Yang nodded on the surface, but he was secretly amused. The quintet puppet mice invented by the ghost genius Yu Gong was practically the most precious puppet beast that the ghost genius had ever invented. How could it be trash? Moreover, the 5-element puppet mice could be combined into one and coexist on the same page. It was only those who didn't understand the secret of summoning the 5-element puppet mice that would separate them into 5 independent bodies. Splitting it into 5 was the most foolish and ridiculous thing to do. In fact, the 5 elements puppet mice didn't have such a name. Its original name was the quintet-seeking golden mice, and it had a super strong detection ability towards all kinds of ores, energy items, traps, force fields, and barriers. For example, where there was a gold mine, they would be able to detect it with just a sniff. Or where there was a treasure or a buried divine weapon, they would be able to detect it immediately. The most important thing was that the quintet-seeking golden mice was suitable for any terrain. Any terrain in the world could be adapted to by the quintet-seeking golden mice with the 5 attributes of gold, wood, water, fire, and earth. No matter if it was the blazing river of fire or the bone-chilling valley of ice and wind, the quintet-seeking golden mice would be able to move freely with their respective attributes. At the same time, because they were all level 1 puppet beasts, they didn't have any fighting power or life force. Even if they entered the territory of some strong beasts, they wouldn't be attacked. It could be said that these were 5 treasures that combined detection and treasure hunting into one. Taking 10,000 steps back, even if they were used in battle, they could still discover hidden traps and force fields on the battlefield. If they weren't so powerful, would the ghost genius Yu Gong love them so much? Yu Yang sighed. The later generations didn't know how to appreciate treasures, and actually treated them as useless trash. What a joke! Of course, Yu Yang knew this secret, but he wouldn't say it out loud. He only smiled and nodded, indicating that he wouldn't contract the quintet-seeking golden mice. When the black-clothed Yu Bing and the beautiful woman left, he immediately contracted the quintet-seeking golden mice. A golden light flashed, and 5 cute little mice of different colors appeared on the 4th page of the bronze grimoire. In the middle, there was a mysterious pattern of the 5 elements of gold, wood, water, fire, and earth intersecting. On the outside, there were 5 little mice of different colors, connected head to tail, delicate and cute. All right, let's see if there are any treasures buried nearby. When Yu Yang summoned them, he realized that the 5 little mice could be summoned at the same time, and there was no limit to their numbers. A golden light flashed, and when the 5 little mice appeared, their small eyes made of 5 colored gems immediately lit up. They all ran towards the same location, making squeaking sounds. On the blank 4th page of the bronze grimoire, a line of words magically appeared. Discovered gold, small amount. Discovered jade-type energy item, large amount of energy stored. Yu Yang was so happy that he jumped 3 feet in joy. He had always suspected that the pitiful guy, who had committed suicide by jumping into the river, still had his belongings, because there was no money in the pitiful guy's room. Since the pitiful guy had jumped into the river to commit suicide, he couldn't have taken all his money with him to commit suicide, right? There was definitely something left behind, but Yu Yang didn't know where the pitiful guy had hidden it. He couldn't have found it even after searching for half a month. Now that the quintet-seeking golden mice had moved out, they had found the place. What made Yu Yang even more surprised was that they could also roughly judge the quantity and use of the items. Their function was not as simple as finding the place where the treasures were hidden. With these 5 little things, his future treasure hunting journey would be much smoother. Yu Yang dug out the wooden box that was buried under the floor tiles and opened it. He discovered that there was indeed all of the pitiful guy's belongings inside. There were 15 gold coins, 62 silver coins, and several hundred copper coins in a small leather bag. Other than the pitiful guy's childhood wooden toys, childhood clothes and 2 diaries that his parents had left for him, There was also a black and swarthy jade necklace that had an ordinary appearance. If the quintet-seeking golden mice had not judged that this jade necklace contained a large amount of energy, Yu Yang wouldn't have dared to confirm that this necklace was really a treasure. Yu Yang discovered that his divine vision inherent skill was actually unable to see through this ordinary-looking necklace. This should be the treasure that the pitiful guy's parents had left for him. It's a pity that they died early and didn't tell the pitiful guy in time. Hence, the pitiful guy didn't know that this was a treasure and treated it as trash, keeping it with his childhood toys and clothes. Alright, now it's mine. Yu Yang was just worried that he didn't have anything to prove that he was the pitiful guy. Now that this black jade necklace could be used, he immediately wore it. After keeping the gold coins, he placed the wooden toys and childhood clothes back into the wooden box and buried them back under the floor tiles. He then flipped open the diaries that the pitiful guy's parents had written. On the surface, this was a diary that the parents had written about how much they missed their son, recording every little detail of their lives. However, with Yu Yang's divine vision inherent skill, he could tell that these two diaries weren't that simple. They must have used some kind of invisibility potion or a secret technique to record some important things. It was a pity that Yu Yang's divine vision level was not high enough, so he couldn't see through it. Thank you, two elders, I will treasure the fruits of your labor. The shameless Yu Yang kept the two books in his bosom. He really thought that he was the pitiful guy. After receiving the pitiful guy's bountiful belongings, Yu Yang's mood was especially good. His sleep was also exceptionally sweet. In his dreams, the heavenly sword goddess that he hadn't seen for a long time had miraculously appeared. Chapter 13. When the heavenly sword goddess appeared, she completely ignored the overjoyed Yu Yang, as if Yu Yang did not exist at all. Her lily-white hands held the black jade necklace, as if she was staring at it curiously. Without waiting for Yu Yang to rush forward and hug the heavenly sword goddess's thighs, calling her his wife, she suddenly disappeared. When Yu Yang picked up the black jade necklace, he was surprised to find that it contained a vast amount of energy, as if it was a lake. Immediately, he was so excited that he jumped 3 feet. He guessed, could it be that the heavenly sword goddess had helped him unlock the black jade necklace's seal? With the black jade necklace, Yu Yang could train in his dreams with half the effort and twice the result. Wearing the black jade necklace, not only could he absorb the spiritual qi of heaven and earth, he could also absorb a large amount of the pure energy stored in the black jade necklace. This time, the amount of spiritual qi he absorbed was more than 10 times more than before. Unknowingly, the second meridian, the heart meridian of Han's minor yin, had already been opened. Yu Yang estimated that with this speed, he would be able to open all 12 meridians in his body in less than a month. He would then be able to master the first level of the innate invisible sword qi and truly enter the innate realm. When Yu Yang woke up, he discovered a strange thing. He took off the black jade necklace from his neck and looked at it, only to discover that it still looked the same as before. It was still black and swarthy, completely different from the one in his dreams. He also couldn't feel the vast amount of pure energy. Could it be that he could only absorb its energy in his dreams? Or could it be that its hidden seal would only lose its effect in the heavenly sword goddess's dream space? This thing was so mysterious that normal people couldn't see through it, nor could they use it. Why did the pitiful guy's parents leave it to the pitiful guy? Could it be that there was a detailed introduction in the 2 diaries? What kind of treasure was this black jade necklace? What was its real use? With regards to this black jade necklace, Yu Yang really couldn't understand it. However, according to Yu Yang's way of thinking, if he couldn't understand it, he shouldn't think about it anymore. Anyway, there were too many things that he couldn't understand that had happened to him. Time passed day by day. Yu Yang did not feel like he had changed much, but in the eyes of the beautiful woman and Yu Bing, he was changing every day. In the early stages of absorbing the black jade necklace's energy, Yu Yang appeared to be in high spirits, as if his entire body was filled with endless energy. They thought that it was because Yu Yang had successfully contracted a grimoire and was in a good mood, so he was in a good mood. A few days later, Yu Yang's skin started to peel off. First, it was his hands, then his legs and body, and finally his face. A layer of skin peeled off. After shedding the skin that was revealed was as smooth as jade. It looked as fair and tender as Yu Bing's skin, and even had a healthy radiance to it. Yu Yang's eyes also became more reserved day by day, faintly shining like stars. If they hadn't seen each other every day, the beautiful woman wouldn't have believed that her third son had undergone such a shocking change in less than half a month. "Sanner, are you sick? Why don't you rest for a few days? I'm afraid that your body won't be able to take it if you train too fast. Will you tire yourself out if you continue like this?" When the beautiful woman first saw Yu Yang's hands peeling off, she thought that he was sick, or that it was a side effect of overexerting his body after training too much. In the end, when she saw that he looked completely new after shedding his skin, as if he had been reborn, she calmed down and realized that this might not be a bad thing. I'm fine. Yu Yang knew that this was a normal reaction after stepping into the innate realm. After absorbing a large amount of pure energy from the black jade necklace, he had almost mastered the first level of the innate invisible sword chi. In other words, he was about to truly step into the innate realm. That was why there was this kind of rebirth, transformation, marrow cleansing, and rebirth of the body's form. His skin peeling off and he was in high spirit. The beautiful woman and Yu Bing could see these changes on the surface of his body every day. However, Yu Yang's body was becoming stronger day by day, becoming more powerful, becoming more perfect. They couldn't see it. Furthermore, the muscles on Yu Yang's body didn't bulge explosively like a bodybuilder's. They only became more reasonable and perfect. Now, his chest muscles were slightly bulging and his abdomen was tight. There wasn't a single bit of fat on his body anymore. His four limbs were still as slender as before, but his strength kept increasing and becoming stronger. Yu Yang could see himself bathing. Ever since he had started practicing the innate invisible sword chi, his body had been changing every day. Every day, he became more perfect than the day before. Possessing great strength but not becoming a muscular man, Yu Yang wasn't too surprised by this kind of change. This was because the heavenly sword goddess's slender hands had the power to destroy heaven and earth. Since he had also practiced the innate invisible sword chi, it was normal that he didn't become a muscular man. The innate invisible sword chi was an innate skill. It wasn't like those third-rate skills that the mercenaries learned. Yu Yang was surprised every day, and he was improving every day. It was just that this brat was secretly happy, and never told the beautiful woman and the others about his secret. Time flew by, and after a month, the hand tying, foot tying, hand taiyang, foot taiyang, hand showing and foot showing were all connected. Yu Yang was about to master the first level of the innate invisible sword chi. As long as he could connect all 12 of his meridians together, he would be able to master the first level. He would then be able to step into the innate realm that every ranker in the Soaring Dragon continent yearned for. If it was the Soaring Dragon continent, even the most talented innate ranker would need at least 100 years to truly step into the innate realm. But for Yu Yang, who had directly practiced the innate invisible sword chi, the time he used was less than 3 months, and he was already close to the dream of an innate ranker of 100 years. From this, it could be seen that the innate invisible sword chi was a miraculous skill. If one were to use an analogy, the Yu clan's spear technique, which was already considered a high-level skill in the Soaring Dragon continent, was like a university graduate looking at a 4th or 5th grade elementary school textbook. It was extremely shallow. If he were to look at the third-rate skills that the mercenaries practiced outside, it would be like looking at a kindergarten textbook. Yu Yang reckoned that even if it was an innate skill from the soaring dragon continent, if it hadn't been lost, it would only be at the level of a middle or high school student. It would be incomparable to the innate invisible sword chi that he had trained in. Right now, Yu Yang was suddenly a little curious about the heavenly sword goddess. Who was she? If he were to compare her to the rankers in this world, then, what kind of existence would she be? Third brother, I want to return to Shangjing Academy to take the exam. I will leave tomorrow. You have already grasped the basics of summoning skills quite well. You can directly enroll into the second year of the academy next year without any problems. Third brother, the only regret now is that you have yet to summon your guardian beast, Mist. The most important thing is to raise your guardian beast that will never betray or perish. After I leave, don't focus on summoning anymore. Third brother, take the money and buy a better beast outside. It would be best if it was a beast or a bird. Wind wolf, fire lion, thunder eagle or golden falcon are all fine. Sigh, if that spirit beast awakening knowledge pill had not been stolen by second uncle and given to Xiaojiu, I believe that third brother would definitely be able to summon his guardian beast. They bullied us like this. During next year's clan tournament, I will definitely not hold back and teach them a lesson. Otherwise, grandfather and the elders in the clan will always look down on us. The fourth branch. Before Yu Bing left, she warned Yu Yang again and again. In her heart, she felt sorry for Yu Yang from the bottom of her heart. This was because she saw a genius that was similar to her being looked down upon by the clan. In the soaring dragon continent, men were superior to women. In addition to the fact that she had become a widow, she did not dare to protest in the past. But now, third brother was the future of her family. If he was trash, then so be it. However, he was obviously a genius, yet he was looked down upon by the clan. All kinds of injustice had accumulated in her heart. Yu Yang caressed Yu Bing's head lightly, but did not say anything. He knew that his guardian beast was not Mist, but Phantom Shadow. He was afraid that he would never be able to summon Mist in this lifetime. However, Phantom Shadow was actually 10 times better than Mist. The duration of summoning shadows was as long as 10 days. In other words, he could summon 10 shadows to superimpose on his body. Adding them together, it would be equivalent to an increase of 500%. In addition to the fact that he was about to reach the innate realm, it was hard to imagine how much his battle power would increase. After sending off Yu Bing, Yu Yang was not in a hurry to go out and buy beasts like Wind Wolf, Fire Lion, Thunder Eagle or Golden Falcon. In his eyes, the spitting thorny flower was much stronger than the Wind Wolf and Fire Lion. Right now, the most important thing was to master the first level of the innate invisible sword chi. He was only one step away from entering the innate realm. Chapter 14. As long as he mastered the first level of innate invisible sword chi, it would mean that he had truly entered the innate realm. Not to mention others, Yu Yang reckoned that in a small place like White Stone City, he would definitely be able to do whatever he wanted. Even if he did not have enough spiritual chi, and could not use invisible sword chi that many times, it was still an innate realm sword chi. One strike would be enough to kill an opponent. According to the knowledge that the bronze grimoire had passed on to Yu Yang, unless one was a level 6 elder or above, no one would be able to withstand an innate ranker's attack. Even if it was a casual strike, an innate ranker's chi could break through a low-leveled warrior's chi defense or body strengthening. In the eyes of an innate ranker, warriors below level 6 were all ants, not even worth mentioning. Of course, there were not many innate rankers in the world. That was why a level 6 elder was already an important minister of a country. He would be a great general or even a marshal. At the very least, he would be the lord of a territory. For example, in the White Stone City where Yu Yang lived, the White Stone City Lord was a level 6 junior elder. The Yu clan lord, Elder Yu Hai, the pitiful guy's grandfather, was a level 6 senior elder. He was also the great general of the army bestowed upon him by the Jun family. Due to his old age, he had lost his left arm and right leg during the war. He had just retired from his position as a marshal and returned home to recuperate. The pitiful guy's first uncle, Yu Shan, and second uncle, Yu Ling, were both great generals and important ministers in the court. Their strengths were level 6 elder and level 6 junior elder, respectively. Only the pitiful guy's father, Yu Qiu, was a genius warrior that only appeared once in 100 years. He surpassed his entire clan at a young age and became a level 7 overlord. Unfortunately, this genius warrior died 15 years ago. As long as Yu Yang mastered the first level of innate invisible sword chi, he would not need to fear any opponent below level 6. Of course, in actual combat there would be many surprises. Currently, Yu Yang, who could only release 2 streaks of sword chi and had 0 combat experience, felt that safety was his top priority. It was better to be safe than sorry. Anyway, the longer he trained, the higher his cultivation, the safer his life would be. Sword chi was very sharp, capable of breaking through all defenses and instantly killing enemies. However, his current spiritual energy was only enough for him to unleash 2 sword strikes. Sword chi was very sharp and could break through all defenses, but he could only release 2 streaks. Therefore, Yu Yang felt that he shouldn't be too complacent at the moment. He should be low-key. His current goal was to master the first level of the innate, invisible sword chi, enter the innate realm, and become an invincible fighter under level 6. Yu Yang knew that Yang was very powerful, but he never as he thought that he was in innate realm as he could not imagine would. As he heaven and earth, he would be as he could. As possible. As the Yang as he could. It was as if he was swimming freely in a sea of energy. His spiritual chi flowed from the Yongquan acupuncture point at the bottom of his feet to the Bai Hui acupuncture point at the top of his head. It then broke out of his body and rushed up to the clouds, reaching the extreme realm. Then, it reversed and flowed back into his head, flowing through his whole body. Then, it shot out from the Yongquan acupuncture point at the bottom of his feet and went deep into the ground. His whole body was cleansed by the heaven and earth energy, as if he had been reborn. At this moment, Yu Yang no longer felt that his body was heavy. Instead, he felt as if he was flying, as if he was floating in the air. The bronze grimoire shone even more brilliantly. A golden beam of light shot up to the sky, straight into the clouds. If Yu Yang did not choose to train in the middle of the night, everyone within 100 miles would know about it. The moment he entered the innate realm, Yu Yang had a surreal feeling. It was as if he could look down on all living things, raise his hand, and shake the earth. However, this kind of feeling only lasted for a few seconds. The heavenly call in his heart appeared again. Yu Yang discovered that his body, which was originally filled with spiritual chi, was being crazily sucked by the mysterious life form in his body. In the end, he could not take it anymore and fainted with a boom sound. Before he fainted, he had a hallucination. It was as if he saw a pair of colorful golden phoenixes circling in front of him. As he fainted, the golden beam of light that shot up to the sky from the bronze grimoire quickly disappeared and shrunk. In the end, it completely disappeared. The bronze grimoire also silently floated to Yu Yang's side. When he opened the front page, it was still the same. However, behind the original Level 1 Apprentice title, there were 2 dark gold words. Innate. Yu Yang slept soundly, but the whole Xia kingdom was in an uproar. Even the Emperor Jun Wuyu was woken up from his sleep by his servants. The State Grandmaster and the 2 heavenly Imperial Guardians, who were also wearing pajamas, were already waiting for him in the Imperial study. A piece of news made the Emperor of the Xia Kingdom so happy that he couldn't believe his ears. An innate rancor had appeared among the people of the Xia kingdom. Furthermore, this innate rancor's glorious beam of light was even more shocking than other innate rancors. The golden beam of light shot up to the sky, and could be seen from 100 miles away. According to the innate rancor's innate crystal pillars records, this was the 81st innate rancor to appear in the history of the Xia kingdom. He was also the 7th innate rancor who was still alive. Your Majesty, it's a pity. This is a rancor among the people without any record. He might be a hermit in the forest. We still don't have any information about him. The State Grandmaster shook his head regretfully. Could it be that there's no information about him on the innate crystal pillar of Tong Tian Tower? The Emperor Jun Wu Yu felt that it was inconceivable. Yes, Your Majesty. This innate rancor has the ability to hide his information. On the innate crystal pillar, there's only the basic information of a human male, not even his age. As for his sect, skills and beasts, we're not clear at all. We reckon that this innate rancor naturally has the ability to hide his strength. That's why the innate crystal pillar is unable to show his information. Where did the glorious beam of light appear? Who's the witness? This is the best opportunity to strengthen the country and the rise of the Xia kingdom. We must find him. The Emperor Jun Wu Yu was about to go crazy from anxiety. An innate rancor had appeared in the country, but they didn't know who he was. With my reveal, inherent skill, I can deduce that the location is at the Cloud Mist Mountain in the southeast. There are 3 cities, White Stone, Red Forest, and Black Cliff there. It's very difficult to deduce the exact location. However, with such a huge commotion caused by the birth of an innate rancor, there will definitely be people who saw it. Especially the assassins and robbers who move out at night, there will definitely be people who saw it. As long as we offer a high reward and investigate carefully, we should be able to find that innate rancor. The State Grandmaster flipped open his gold grimoire. On the map of the Xia kingdom, there was a golden dot that shone like a golden star in the Cloud Mist Mountain. But when he doubled the size of the map, Venus suddenly disappeared. The 2 heavenly imperial guardians thought that it wasn't because the State Grandmaster's reveal inherent skill was not enough. It was because the opponent's inherent skill was extremely strong. The Emperor Jun Wu Yu, the State Grandmaster, and the 2 heavenly imperial guardians discussed for the whole night in the imperial study. In the end, they decided to offer a reward of 1,000 gold to the mercenary, assassin and thief guild to find the innate rancor. Even if someone saw the exact location of the glorious beam of light that night, they would receive a reward of 50 gold. At the same time, the 3 city masters, the various lords and the various clan masters were asked by the royal family if the innate rancor had appeared in their cities or their clans. When Yu Yang woke up in the morning, not only the big powers in the Xia kingdom, but even the 4 great sects were alarmed. An innate rancor had appeared among the commoners. What did this mean? This was a person who didn't rely on the 4 great sects or the various clans. He didn't even need the support of the royal family to be able to cultivate to the innate realm. The 4 great sects sent special envoys to the innate crystal pillar of Tong Tian Tower at the same time to look at the information displayed on it. Among the 4 great sects, sect leader Ming Xian from the Northern Moon Fairy Pavilion, who was famous for her God's Eye inherent skill, said something that shocked the world. Chapter 15. My mind's eye can see that this is a very young man. His life force shows that he is not more than 30 years old. He is hidden in the darkness, so I can't see his face clearly. I can only see that his eyes are shining like stars. I can't see through him. It seems that there is a very strong Holy Spirit protecting him. Ming Xian's words shocked all the rancors in the world. They couldn't believe it. If an innate rancor reached the extreme realm and regained their youthfulness, it was definitely possible for a 400 to 500-year-old to look like a 20 to 30-year-old. But if a young man who was not even 30 years old had already reached the innate realm, this was too unbelievable. What kind of elixir did this brat eat? He was not even 30 years old, and he had already reached the innate realm. When he truly matured, how powerful would he be? Even for the 4 major sects, with countless elixirs and the help of sacred beasts and divine beasts, it would still take them nearly 100 years to reach the Sciention realm. In comparison, this kid's cultivation speed was too exaggerated, right? What exactly was his cultivation method? In a moment, all the rankers had a desire to find that young innate ranker as soon as possible and obtain his method to reach the innate realm. With regards to all this, Yu Yang knew nothing. He didn't know that he had caused a sensation in the whole Xia kingdom. The mercenaries, assassins and bandits went crazy, especially the mercenaries from White Stone City, Red Forest City and Black Lava City. They regretted their actions so much that their intestines turned green. Why did they have to sleep? Even if they had to wake up in the middle of the night to pee, they would be rewarded with 50 gold just by seeing the glorious pillar of light. What kind of reward was that? Killing a level 3 lightning leopard without any damage to its fur could only earn 60 silver coins at most, which was not even 1 gold coin. If they were lucky and the lightning leopard was mutated, it would only be worth 5 gold coins even if it dropped a magic crystal. However, to kill a mutated lightning leopard, a mercenary party with less than 5 people would basically be sending themselves to death. A mercenary party with less than 10 people would probably not even be able to get a single strand of its fur. To kill a mutated lightning leopard, only a mercenary party with more than 100 people. The reward of 50 gold coins was the total value of killing 10 mutated lightning leopards. Now, all they had to do was take a look at the glorious pillar of light of the birth of an innate ranker. How could the mercenaries in the 3 cities not beat their chests in regret? Strangely enough, no one saw the pillar of light rising from the small courtyard where Yu Yang lived in Baishur City. Although there was a large number of informants, the state preceptor, who possessed the revelation inherent skill, could easily determine the authenticity of those bold mercenaries who gave false reports. In a fit of anger, he turned those greedy fellows into idiots. Yu Yang was diligent in his training. Normally, he would not step out of the house, so he did not know how noisy the outside world was. He played with the little girl every day. As an innate ranker, he let the little girl ride on his neck. During the day, he would either lie on the ground and count ants with the little girl, or chase red dragonflies with her. Sometimes, he would even teach the little girl how to use the middle finger to summon powerful online beasts, such as river crab and grass mud horse. In short, he was a deceitful person. Grass mud horse and river crab, these divine beasts are too powerful. Remember, you can't summon them on your own people. You can only use them on enemies or bad guys. Do you understand? That's right, remember to raise your middle finger. Grass mud horse and river crab both like to use this kind of summoning gesture. That's right, when you say F***ck and mother***ker, you have to say it with an imposing manner. Alright, you can also say it in a childish voice, as expected of the little lowly from Chinin. If other innate rankers saw Yu Yang acting like this, they would probably fall to the ground. The beautiful woman would occasionally scold him, saying that he was not serious at all. However, seeing him spoiling the little girl so much, she felt happy in her heart. After mastering the first level of the innate invisible sword Qi, Yu Yang had now truly stepped into the innate realm. Now, his goal was the second level. Mastering the second level was not as easy as mastering the first level. In order to master the second level of the innate invisible sword Qi, not only did he have to use his innate Qi to connect the 108 acupoints in his body, he also had to connect the conception vessel and governing vessel with the previous 12 meridians. This way, all the meridians in his body would become one, unobstructed and unobstructed. Once he mastered the second level, other than a huge increase in his strength, Yu Yang would be able to release sword qi from any part of his body. If his enemies could only rely on their own reflexes, they would not be able to defend against this kind of frightening attack that could be released from any part of his body. Compared to before, Yu Yang, who had already mastered the first level of the innate invisible sword qi, already had a pretty good fighting strength. He no longer needed to cultivate the second level of the innate invisible sword qi at home. He could boldly go out and explore the world. He could completely cultivate while seeking opportunities to break through in battle. Furthermore, he still had the black jade necklace's energy to absorb. Mastering the second level was something that would happen sooner or later. Yu Yang was not anxious at all. It was just that when he came into contact with the second level of the innate invisible sword qi that had just appeared in his mind, making him feel like he had just obtained a treasure. He could not wait to practice it. After all, no matter how powerful one's cultivation was, if one didn't have an exquisite technique that complemented each other, the combat strength that one could display would be greatly reduced. Another month passed. During the day, he would occasionally bring the little girl out for a walk, trying to understand the local customs and environment of the soaring dragon continent. At night, Yu Yang, who had been training the second level of the innate invisible sword qi with all his might, finally mastered the second level of the innate invisible sword qi, the mysterious 3 styles. That night, he, who was secretly excited, decided to go out and register as a mercenary. Then, he would find an opponent to fight with and completely master the mysterious 3 styles. The current Yu Yang could be said to be full of confidence. After officially stepping into the innate realm, Yu Yang's innate invisible sword qi had already been unleashed 3 times. It would definitely not be a problem for him to use it to instantly kill a mercenary who had only trained in crude fighting skills. Let's not talk about group fights, but below level 6, if Yu Yang were to fight one-on-one, he would definitely be invincible. Moreover, even if he didn't use this kind of invisible sword qi that could instantly kill his enemies, just the second-level moves, the mysterious 3 styles, were enough to deal with all enemies in accident. Even if they took 10,000 steps back and didn't use the mysterious 3 styles, Yu Yang could use the Yu clan's spear arts that he had comprehended from the parallel comprehension to defeat a large number of mercenaries. Although the Yu clan's spear technique could only be considered a primary school student's battle skill in Yu Yang's eyes, it was still much better than the kindergarten battle skills that the mercenaries practiced. It was a pity that the Yu clan's spear arts that the pitiful guy had obtained was not complete. It only had the first 6 moves. The Yu clan's spear technique was originally incomplete. 1,000 years ago, the most important part of the secret manual was lost. Moreover, the clan still kept 3 secret techniques that were not passed down. Only the younger generation who had reached the level 4 hero realm could learn them. Otherwise, Yu Yang's evaluation of the Yu clan's spear technique would be even higher. Now that he had obtained the university's mysterious 3 styles, if he couldn't win against the kindergarten battle skills of the mercenaries, then Yu Yang should just jump into the river and commit suicide like the pitiful guy. That night, Yu Yang didn't train like he usually did. Instead, he secretly climbed over the wall and went to the mercenary guild in the city. When he arrived at the mercenary guild, he saw the most eye-catching Emperor's bounty board. Only then did Yu Yang shockingly realize that he had become a national celebrity. He was even being offered a large bounty by the royal family. Chapter 16. Seeing that 1,000 gold bounty, Yu Yang almost told on himself. However, even if he didn't understand the saying, "the tallest tree in the forest will be destroyed by the wind," Yu Yang didn't think that it was a good thing to tell the world that he was the hidden innate ranker. Of course, the royal family would be happy. With the addition of an innate ranker, the country's power would increase, but what would the other 2 countries think? They might try to assassinate him before he had the chance to become an innate ranker. He was already an innate ranker at such a young age. He hadn't eaten any elixirs, nor did he have a mythical beast. Even an idiot would think that his innate skill was powerful. It was hard to guarantee that the other innate rankers wouldn't covet him. That's why, before he became invincible, it was better to keep a low profile. It was best to do things in the dark and quietly make a fortune. Yu Yang smiled, pulled on his black cloth, covered his face, and swaggered into the mercenary guild. There was a room full of mercenaries, but no one would know that this masked brat was the innate ranker that the whole world was looking for. Those who drank and gambled were still gambled. For a person like Yu Yang, who was dressed in black and had his face covered, others could tell with a single glance that he was a little thief who had just started his career. Other than keeping a close eye on their money, there was nothing else worth paying attention to. May I know what procedures are needed to register as a mercenary? Yu Yang looked very polite on the surface. In the mercenary guild, the more polite one was, the weaker one was, and the easier it was for others to look down on him. Yu Yang hoped that the whole world would think that he was a weakling. That way, he could quietly make a fortune. That was why he pretended to be a weakling. Please don't bully me. Pay up and fill in the form. If you have money, you can buy a mercenary star badge. Every time you complete a mission, it will record your points and automatically raise your mercenary rank. However, you will need to pay another 10 silver coins. The mercenary guild didn't have the big-breasted beauty that Yu Yang had imagined. There was only an oily bald old man. I don't know how to write. Can you help me fill in the form? I'll pay $1 silver. Of course, Yu Yang knew how to write, but he was afraid that others would recognize his handwriting. The rankers of the soaring dragon continent had all kinds of innate skills. If there was someone who could determine his identity just by identifying his handwriting, wouldn't he be exposed? Spending money to hire this old man was much safer. In any case, these weren't important. As long as he could get some bounty missions from the mercenary guild, it would be fine. The old man had seen many mercenaries who did not know how to write, but he was deceiving the stranger. He firmly believed that Yu Yang was a fledgling who had just made his debut. Was he willing to pay $1 silver to hire someone to fill out a form? 1 silver was equivalent to 100 copper coins. This kid treated money like it wasn't money. If he wasn't a sucker, then what was he? He didn't bother being courteous with Yu Yang and coldly snorted, "I can fill it up for you, but it'll cost you 3 silver coins." Yu Yang despised this greedy old man in his heart, but on the surface, he showed a guilty conscience. 3, that's too much. 2 silver coins, I'll pay 2. Please help me fill in this form, okay? When the mercenaries in the room saw that the old man was bullying a rookie, they all laughed out loud. Bullying rookies, this was the mercenary guild's fine tradition. At this time, a skinny, masked thief with a pair of bright eyes walked over from the door. He snatched the pen and paper from Yu Yang's hands and scolded, 2 silver coins to fill out a form? Did a donkey kick your head? He's a staff member. He had the duty to help an illiterate person fill out a form. An idiot like you wants to be a thief? You'll starve to death sooner or later. Tell me, what's your name? You'll help me fill it up? Thank you, brother, thank you so much. Yu Yang pretended to be extremely grateful and reached out to hug her. Stop, or else I'll kick you out of the door. Idiot, tell me, what's your name? The bright-eyed thief heard brother. When the bright-eyed thief heard brother, she immediately glared at Yu Yang. I'm called Titan. Yu Yang regretted that he was too slow and didn't manage to hug her. He pretended to watch the other person fill out the form as he moved closer to the bright-eyed thief, smelling the fragrance on her body. All right, this brother's fragrance was very nice, refreshing the mind, almost the same as the legendary fragrance of a virgin. Yu Yang's expression didn't change, but a certain place down there had shamefully hardened. Titan? What kind of weird name is that? I think I've heard it somewhere before. The bright-eyed thief wrinkled her pretty eyebrows. That's the name of a type of dwarf. Titan, yes, they're very short and they're a group of losers. After being defeated by their opponents, they were even thrown into the damn hell by their opponents. Yu Yang explained. That doesn't seem right. If that's the case, why did you choose this kind of dwarf as your name? The bright-eyed thief was quite smart and realized that something was wrong, so she asked curiously. If Yu Yang could answer this brother's question, then he wouldn't be a guy from another world. With a smile in his eyes, he pretended to be high-spirited. It's precisely because Titan is a dwarf that I want to firmly remember this name and remind myself not to be a loser in the future. The bright-eyed thief was speechless. If that was really the case, just remember it in your heart. Why did you have to give yourself such a pitiful name? However, the name of a dwarf that failed was actually Titan. She felt that something was wrong. The bright-eyed thief looked at Yu Yang's sneaky smile and snorted lightly. She quickly filled in his name, gender and occupation and asked, "How old are you this year?" Yu Yang counted with his fingers and replied seriously, 200 years old, but still unmarried. I'll be looking for a girlfriend for 10,000 years. My requirements for a partner aren't high. My girlfriend only needs to be as beautiful as a fairy, with big breasts, a thin waist and a round butt. Hearing him say this, all the mercenaries in the room spat out their wine. Was this brat lovesickness acting up? The legendary toad lusting after a swan was probably talking about this brat. The bright-eyed thief also rolled her eyes. Why don't you say that a girl needs big breasts and a round butt, and that she needs to love you for 10,000 years? Yu Yang had an undeniable expression. Loving me for 10,000 years is the shortest amount of time. If you can love me for 100,000 years, that would be even better. Even 1,000,000 years wouldn't be too much. Love your head. The bright-eyed thief sent Yu Yang flying with a punch. She felt depressed that she had spoken to a lunatic tonight. Yu Yang, on the other hand, was in a good mood. He reached out and patted the bright-eyed thief's shoulder. "Thank you, brother. What you said about loving your head was not bad. It was very direct and magnanimous. A man should love with vigor. However, if you changed it to my face instead, that would be even better. Alright, I'll use it the next time I pick up girls. Have you filled in the form? Thank you very much, brother. I'll treat you to supper. I know that there's a new girl whose breasts are as big as soccer balls in the Eastern Tavern. Come, let's go have a drink and tease her." "You soccer ball? What's soccer ball?" The bright-eyed thief made Yu Yang choke. However, she was quickly attracted by the new term and asked curiously, "You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories."